But yeah, thanks all for being here. Thank you to my audience members for stopping by, and thank you for my panelists who are here. We are doing the Reverie Roundtable, which we do Mondays 8 p.m. Eastern. If you watch us on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. Consider becoming a YouTube member, hitting that join button, supporting this community. If you enjoy getting these content 7 days a week, then hit us up on YouTube, hit that join button. It helps out a ton. Become a member. Okay, we are going to introduce all these individuals. I severely regret this now. I severely regret this. Bam. Bam.
Hey.
Look. I need you to control yourself, right? I need you to. You can't try to be me, right? Like try to elevate yourself to a higher plane, okay?
Right.
Because these takes today have not been impressive. They have not been impressive.
I have a picture of you on my wall, Prime. Every morning I look over. I'm like, just try to get a little bit closer. Yeah, as of right now, I guess excluding Prime because he's a moderator, I am the representative of the blacks for today's PrimeCayes panel. All of my takes shall be the most correct pill you've ever heard in your life. Yeah, follow me on here, kinda. I guess Twitch at Black American Made, YouTube at Black American Made, and Twitter at iBamBamBigelow or Black American Made. I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, and thank you, Crimson Steel, for the 713 sub. Awfully kind of you. Thank you so much. All right. Next, we have Jay Chow, guy who I usually respect. But we'll see. Like I think he's on the verge of disappointing me too, like so many others have already. Jay Chow, how are you doing today, buddy?
I am doing absolute crap. I'm just kidding. It's just been quite busy. I am here representing the Asians. I typically would say political science and international relations, but Tiberius is here. So I don't have that niche up my alley anymore. But yeah, twitch.tv/jchildlive. You can also find me on YouTube. I just uploaded a new YouTube video today. Also jchildlive. Find me there. Check me out.
Okay, next. Dionysus, back with us. Dionysus is one of our great mods. I was here. It was a huge help. Thank you, Dionysus, for coming through, for being a part of all this.
Awesome to be around again. Appreciate it for the invite. Yeah, so I'm Dionysus Senaray. I'm the Gen Z representation. And yeah, I guess I'm also representing the Italians, the spicy whites. Let's go.
Okay, I like this. Let's all call our ethnicities. All right, let's go to Wick, right? Of the Mayo people. Wick,
exactly.
How are you?
Well, as one of the least represented here on Twitch, the white bearded older gentleman who, as everyone knows, gets the least amount of screen time, the least amount of attention, the least amount of resources in life. I'm here to talk to PrimeCayes because he so graciously extended the invite, looking to pull me up, you know, and to support me in my times of trial and struggle. So I'm glad to be here. You can check me out at twitch.tv/deathofcertainty. If you want to support the Mayo people, as PrimeCayes so wonderfully labeled me. So thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right, moving on. We have Tiberius, who hasn't been back here in quite a while. It's really nice to have him. All right, I was happy when he said yes when I reached out to him today. How are you, Tiberius?
I'm doing all right. It's been a little bit hard. My feet hurt like a son of a gun. But when I saw that invite for the PrimeCayes Reverie, yeah, I had to get it. So thank you for being here. Or thank you for having me. Excuse me. I'm too used to being a host.
So what's your ethnicity?
I believe I'm a Martian, but you'll have to double check with NASA.
Understood. All right. One of my favorites, Last Username, is back with us, right? And soon enough to be aggravating the hell out of me with his opinions. But Last Username, thank you for stopping by and being part of this and associating with filthy leftists like myself.
Always fun. and satisfying. I'm post-ethnic myself, so I'm just gonna have to represent the radical liberals and cats. I guess I'll represent cats. How about that?
He's a Canadian, right? There you go. Right?
No,
So-
I'm post-national too.
Okay.
I'm a citizen of the universe.
Canadian.
Canadian.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, our Dark Lord and Savior Doobie is back with us once again. Doobie, how are you?
I'm good.
Doobie, what are you? Doobie, other world, what are you? Doobie?
We can all see what he is.
Yeah, I love Doobie now. This
You-
is the best of Doobie I've ever seen.
I know a frog when I see one.
He's a Mexican frog, is what he is.
I always thought he was more of a toad.
Okay. All right. Let's continue. We got our final individual. Our last contestant has arrived. There he is. Oh, god damn it. And our most beautiful one at that. Joe Lewis. My man Joe Lewis is with us. How are you, buddy?
Tired, but I'm here. Not the best ride, not the best drive home, but it's all good. It happens. But yeah, I'm here. I haven't read anything, so this should be interesting. But yeah, we'll see what's going on.
I love to hear that as a host. Like, it fills me with joy. So...
I just say the quiet part out loud, you know.
All right, here we go. Topic 1. Kmart, a former king of retail, is now almost completely extinct. A store in New Jersey is closing, which will leave only 3 in the continental U.S. They failed to properly compete with Amazon and Walmart. But is this consolidation a good thing? Amazon now provides us with a wide variety of services that no single organization has ever done before, like in fucking history. Should we welcome their dominance in the marketplace, or should regulators look to break them up? Yeah, so like Kmart, like if you guys aren't, maybe people may not be aware, it's been a long time since they have been relevant. Like, oh fuck, it's been a long time since they've been relevant. So, like there was a store with a big K at the top, really, and it was a fantastic retailer, like a permanent part of our landscape. But like, I literally haven't put any thought into them in like decades, like fucking decades, until I saw this article. But yeah, there's literally 3 of them. It's like Blockbuster. I think Blockbuster still has like 3 stores somewhere in the continental United States. They've lost in the marketplace, and a lot of other retail stores have as well. So I want to know, is this a good thing, bad thing? What should we do about it? All right, my man Bam.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways you can come at it. I think from the like standing of a developed economy, like at some point this is a sign of success. Like sort of as your economy becomes more efficient, you're gonna reach an economy of scale where a lot of other businesses are gonna be swallowed up to a degree, because that means that places are going to be able to the places that remain are like selling products for cheaper prices, and being able to better distribute them to more people. So that's the positive end of it. But if we're creating somewhat of a monopoly or an oligopoly, whatever the other word is, all the goppies, I think that can be a problem, because then there is like that last bit of competition to keep businesses honest. So yeah, I'm not a full-scale economist that could say if this was like over the tipping point, but I don't think it's necessarily all bad.
Hey, Jay Chow, please.
Yeah, so I think we could all agree that Amazon is a big corporation. But whether or not we should break up Amazon has very little to do with whether or not it's big, but how big it is in comparison to the rest of the market. So when it comes to what Amazon really excels at, which is retail, and online retail to be specific, they have like, 30% of the market share. I did a little bit of Googling. And their main competitors are like Walmart and other stores. As Prime's question suggested, Kmart was not able to compete, and they were not able to keep profits or revenue in order to stay in business. So they're going out the door. But when it comes to just retail in general, Amazon in 2020 made up like 5% of all sales. So even like online retail, despite of like all the talk of, hey, pandemic, we're all at home and it's so convenient to buy stuff, most people are still buying stuff in the stores. Given that, I don't think it's okay to break up Amazon.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go to Dionysus.
Yeah, so as someone from New Jersey, we're not going to lose any sleep that another Kmart bites the dust. Doesn't really matter. This really isn't a problem of Walmart and Amazon for Kmart because they also had to compete with Costco, Target, Aldi's, CVS, Kroger, a bunch of other stores, and they got their shit kicked in. Free market happened. They got beat. One thing I am concerned about is Amazon. You look at Amazon, they own Whole Foods for foods, Audible, Goodreads for reading, Blue Origin, space shit, IMDb, movies, Double Helix Gaming, and Amazon Studios for gaming. They own Twitch, Goodthreads, so they're also in the fashion industry, right? And that's just a little bit. They're extremely, they're just growing and growing and growing. I see as a big problem. I see the way they conduct themselves on the regular Amazon site pretty concerning. Example being if you just look up a basic product, like let's say like rugs, you're gonna get a few sponsor spots up at the top. Me as a company, I'd pay Amazon, they put me on top until they can make a generic of my product, tell me to fuck off, replace it in the first spot, sell it cheaper, and basically drive all my sales down. They've done this with plenty of products. I'm looking at my microphone right here. They do it with XLR cables. They do it with chargers. They do it with a bunch of stuff. The Amazon Basic brand, the way they're going about it is extremely problematic. I wouldn't be shocked if they are investigated to get broken up, and I'd probably be for it.
Thanks so much. Wick.
Okay, so there's really two questions implied here that I really think deserve their own special kind of treatment. First of all, as has been mentioned before on this panel, Kmart died because Kmart couldn't compete in the market, and that's kind of what should happen in a capitalistic society. Is if you can't provide a service that people find valuable, you will go out of business. It's not like stores aren't a protected class, gang. We don't need the government to swoop in and to save all of them, right? Like this isn't necessary. But that begs the second question, like, when it comes to Amazon and these other retail outlets that are getting, or not just retail outlets, but online distributors and things that are getting immensely huge and able to exert an influence on the market that far outweighs what they're able to do. This is concerning. A lot. Dionysus stole a lot of my points. I hate you for that. But you stole a lot of these points, and they're able to do these terrible things and get away with it. Luckily, and the way they've treated their workers is terrible. Luckily, something that we haven't really talked about a lot in the political scene is I believe Amazon got its first union recently, so that is good and hopefully will help on that end of things. But we still have to address the way that they sell their products to the market. Should the government get involved is the question. I don't know. I'm torn on this. I do not think necessarily it's a good idea, but there would be a line and would be a point where I say, yeah, okay, maybe it's time that the government should step in, because the government does have a vested interest in breaking up monopolies and things like that. I don't think we've gotten to that point yet, but the trend line is troubling and it bears watching. And that's my statement here.
Tiberius.
Yeah, I'm going to split this into two. And unfortunately, I got to follow along with some of the things that have already been said. Number one is with Kmart. Normally, I say that when a business actually goes out, due to competition, it's because they just suck. And while I lost my Kmart in my local area literally 20 years ago, they didn't make it to where anyone wanted to go there. So in a general sense, is that, yeah, they got outcompeted. And look, I've seen it time and time again, especially in history. Like Sears and Roebuck used to be the Leviathan, used to be a massive company, and now is teetering on the edge of bankruptcy for the last 15 years. So one of those things is that things change and new things come around, and sometimes these old super companies are just no longer able to kind of update themselves. You would think Sears and Roebuck actually would be the pioneer of online selling compared to what they did back in around 1900 with basically magazine sales, but they didn't jump onto that wagon. So generally, when a company goes away, that doesn't scare me. Going into Amazon, though, there's 1,000 things I can say about this, so I'll just keep it. Should they actually be hit with an antitrust? I don't know if the Sherman Antitrust Act is actually valid here because of the credentials are kind of old. But I actually been wanting an update for this for a long time. Number one is that Amazon's hitting my personal limit that I've set out for market share, which is 40%. Once you start crossing 40%, you are getting huge. And you actually are getting to the point where even though you don't control the majority, you set the tone for the rest of the market. And so overall is that the reason why they shut down the Disney-Fox merger to a large degree, or then they made it reorganize, is the same reason why I think Amazon actually needs to be hit with antitrust. It's so big now that it is openly dominating not only pricing, but also just how the industry runs it as a whole. And that can be dangerous. The other part of it is actually secondary. We were talking, or I'm sorry, I believe it was Wig talked about the assets, about how Amazon's buying up this company and this company and this company. Their net worth is actually getting to levels that if Amazon, for some reason, were to actually go south tomorrow, it's a national security threat. Because it's not just Amazon that goes south. It is all its subsidiaries that goes with it as well. And you're talking over $1 trillion in assets, last I checked. Yeah, that isn't almost an existential threat to a country as a whole. So for numerous reasons, I kind of am just amazed that our lawmakers have not actually done their job and actually taken this company apart as it is. And on with that.
Tiberius said something I just can't move past without acknowledging.
Uh-oh.
This man has a personal market share threshold. Nerd! Oh my god, like what the fuck? Like literally, I've never like thought of putting those words together. Personal market. Okay, all right. Anyway, thank you for that.
You got to embrace the capital. You got to embrace it.
Thank you, Tiberius. Much appreciated. All right, last year's name.
Well, it's a good thing I'm here after that from someone I was expecting to be a free market advocate. Amazon is an absolutely amazing company. They've just done amazing things for online shopping, for ratings, for distribution and logistics. I mean, having like anything delivered to your house basically for free or for like a $10 a month Prime membership in like overnight is like unthinkable. Just 20 years ago. This is the future we're living in. They provide an amazing platform for small manufacturers. There's all kinds of niche products that just would not exist without Amazon. They probably saved more lives than Pfizer and Moderna over the last couple of years just by providing a way to buy stuff without, coming into contact with other people. They're an amazing company, and there's absolutely no reason to break them up. The people who want to break them up are basically the sort of usual, like vindictive, power-hungry government people who are just looking for someone to scapegoat for problems that they probably caused themselves. And for some reason, they always just go for like the most productive, most valuable organizations in society, probably because they tend to be the biggest and most powerful, and they just see power and they're like, I want that power. I think if you're really worried about Amazon, probably one day they will go out of business. They'll get replaced by the next big thing when technology changes, when we invent replicators, a la Star Trek, or 3D printing or something. They won't be able to adapt, and some new company will become huge based on that new tech, and it goes on and on. If I'm just never worried about the whole horror story of some monopoly taking over and abusing the monopoly. When they start abusing their monopoly and doing terrible things with it, tell me. But right now, all they're doing with their monopoly is just giving us really good stuff at really low prices and really convenient. Like, what's the problem? Just what's the problem? So all hail Bezos, and that's it.
Thank you so much, my man Doobie.
I feel like last username said everything I was going to say. So everything he said, I agree.
God, agreeing with Canadians now. He's fallen so low. Moving on, Joe Lewis.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that local businesses, and when I say local businesses, I'm just talking about like businesses that like have physical locations. They just have to do a better job improving the customer experience. I think that's the only way you're going to be able to compete with an Amazon, because it's kind of shown that, or at least it appears to be, and that Amazon kind of found its niche and what it does good, and it's doubling down on that. But it hasn't really tapped into like the physical experience of store locations, and that's something that I think retailers need to kind of double down on. And they can take advantage of that with the pandemic. So like as people want to go back outside and have more like experiences with physical people around them and deal and going to physical products, this is where I think retailers can really take advantage. And like again, like Kmart was kind of already out the door. Especially considering that the Kmart in question wasn't even sustainable in the location that it was in. This was like a problem that even the members of that community said, that like these local discount stores are not sustainable in modern landscape, and it closed down, no different than places that can't sustain Walmarts. So it's like kind of to me. But yeah, I am fairly indifferent on Amazon because I don't use them. So the only avenue or like way that I use Amazon is just here on Twitch. Other than that, I don't use them at all. So I really have no opinion, but yeah.
Open to the panel.
Okay, so I just want to kind of address a couple of the points that have been brought up. Like, first of all, PrimeCayes, you were based and righteous to call Tiberius a nerd. I second that. That was a good thing to do, and we should call more people out on being fucking nerds. It's embarrassing, and we need to just get that out of our community. It's probably the most important thing. To act as if though, like look, it's there's nuance here. Amazon has done a lot of great things. Okay, they've really improved distribution chains and networks and things like that. They've really capitalized on that. They've been able to, as last username said, deliver goods during a time of pandemic that I am very grateful that they were able to do. But let's not act like this doesn't have unintended consequences on the rest of the market. Let's not act as if this doesn't in the future represent threats that the government needs to be aware of. Tiberius, nerd though he is, brought up a very good point about how so many systems are being connected to this, and we're intertwining so much that if one falls, it all falls, or it all takes a hit. So we have to at least be cognizant of that. And yes, if it takes
But
Star
if
Trek,
you want to break it up, don't you want it to fall?
did I ever say I wanted to break it up? I said it bears watching. The trend line is troubling, but right now I would be against breaking it up. That's how what I actually said. But we do have to. There will be a point where we might have to look into it. Antitrust laws are good. They're there.
What are we looking into exactly?
Sure. Well, just exactly what Tiberius said. How they're conducting their business, like Dionysus mentioned, how they are able to manipulate the market and basically downgrade other people's items that they plan to host and basically take advantage of them that way. I think.
Yeah. Is there something wrong with that?
Yes, there is.
What?
It hurts small businesses.
So what?
There's unintended consequences, as I said, for all the good it does.
What do you mean? It's entirely intended consequence. The intention of Amazon is to make products and compete with smaller businesses by making
Certainly,
better,
but that
cheaper
can
stuff for
that
them.
can run contrary to the social good, right?
How?
Like to the good of the community as a
How?
whole. Well, because simply getting as much profit as you can at any cost can have some really bad consequences. Look at how they
Like
treated their
what?
workers for quite a
Explain.
bit of time. It was terrible to their workforce.
No.
They
Don't
treated
change the
their
subject. We're
workforce
talking about the
No, but we're
making the
talking about
in-house
unintended
products and
consequences
competing
and
with smaller manufacturers.
how success can come at a cost, and we have to
No,
bear
you're
that
just changing
cost
the
in
topic
mind.
to go into something else. How is it bad for Amazon to make a cheaper version of some niche of some small manufactured product that's superior and people want to buy it instead? How is that bad? How is that socially bad?
Why is it bad that they can
It's bad for the
undercut
it's
people
bad
and
for the
bully
smaller
them out of the
manufacturer
market
who's
through
being put out of business, but
price
it's good for
manipulation?
everyone else who's buying that product, right?
I mean,
Is it though? I don't think it is. I don't think
Well, why
overall
not?
it is. But
I
Why
think it's
wouldn't it
good for
be?
the. I think it's good for the consumer, but they're like the government does have like a really strong interest in in protecting like the concept of small business starting? Why do we think we give so much tax incentives to small businesses? Like our government,
Why?
we don't want a government, like the government doesn't want there to be one major super Amazon that like sells everything. Like they want other job producers in the
Why?
country.
Why should the government stop a big business from making a better product than a small business?
Because it has a chilling effect on other businesses that want to rise. And so one of the things we have in America, at least,
So
is
what?
upward social mobility. Let me explain to you. If you can keep asking why, but I'm trying to answer your question. So upward social mobility, one of the big reasons we have that is because it is possible in America to start a small business and to be successful. And one of the things that Amazon is doing is it's crushing these using price manipulation and using these kind of manipulative market practices that really put a damper and a chilling effect on that. And we can see this bearing out in the social system that we have, the economic system we have, where the rich are getting massively richer and the poor are not. This is having a huge
The purpose of
consequences.
businesses is to make stuff for people
Okay,
to
but
consume.
that doesn't mean
So
that is
why would
their
we
goal,
why
but
would
that
we
doesn't
take
mean
a
it's
business that's
good.
making better stuff and say no, don't make better stuff because we want these smaller businesses who are
It's
making
not
worse
better.
stuff.
You keep
There's
equating
different
Yeah, what do you
successful.
what do you mean by better? Because
Well,
Amazon
I
Basics
assume
is
it's
just a generic
I'm
product
assuming
that's
that
cheaper.
if the reason that Amazon's product are out competing these smaller products is because people want to buy Amazon's products because they're better.
It's because they're
Right.
cheap and people are stupid. Like, come on. Now.
Exactly.
Well, no, that's
They
not
see
stupid.
something on
Buying a
Wait,
product
see
that's
something
cheaper
on
whether
the-
or
is
not
pretty
there's like
smart.
a large
Hey,
group of people
no,
it's
buying
cheaper.
a
You got
product
more
doesn't
money.
mean that it's better than the other products.
Well, if it's not better, then why would people buy it? I mean,
Cheaper,
people could
because
just make
it's
it
cheaper
cheaper
and
it's on the
people
first
are.
page.
Things for many different reasons.
Yeah, but by and large,
I mean,
like
if you're going to
for
make the case that Amazon's
Go for it,
products
Jay.
are worse than that, the generic products are worse than the specific ones that they're competing, then you have to make that case. But I don't. Generally speaking, you're allowed to buy the Amazon product or the alternative, and people are choosing to buy the Amazon one. Generally, I would assume that it's because the Amazon one is better. I don't see any reason to.
Well,
assume
no, it's
otherwise.
because it's less hurdles to buy the Amazon basic product.
What do you mean?
It's right in front
Why
of
is
you.
it
It's
less
on the front
hurdles?
page.
It's right
Because
in,
it's the first option.
If
It's
people
right in front
aren't
of you.
willing to
No
like,
matter
look
no
one
matter the
line down to
stars.
see the alternatives, then they probably don't care that much. I mean, if it's really
No.
that.
So no matter the stars, right? You get the free delivery, you get the quick delivery. It's cheaper and it's right
Why
in
is
front of
this
you.
a problem to you guys? Because you're saying you have a problem with people choosing to buy something that's maybe is a little less quality, possibly that you haven't substantiated. I'm not done speaking.
It's the
That you haven't
strategy.
substantiated that the quality is worse, but it's cheaper. They can get it quicker. They don't have to pay for shipping, and people are voluntarily choosing to make that decision to buy that thing versus the more expensive thing that's going to get there slower, cost more, and be higher quality. So what's the issue with people making the decision to get the worst thing?
I don't think there's any issue with that. I think there's more interest at play than just the interest of Amazon and the interest of the consumer. Like I don't think Amazon products are worse, but I'm saying that the government, like our entire system, has to involve more interest than just just this one-to-one transaction. They also have to think about the long-term interest of the country as a whole, which was what
Okay,
something
well, I'm
else
thinking
Tiberius
about
brought.
it, and I don't care. Why make me care about?
I'm
that?
saying because
Convince
small
me that for
business.
some reason, like it's
I'm-
very
I'm
easy
t- I'm
to
gonna- I
say.
can tell you,
Well, we
when-
have to be
when-
concerned about this and keep an eye on this and blah blah
No,
blah.
I can tell
Give
you.
me some numbers.
I'm-
Give me
I'm
some
literally
actual
trying to tell you.
criteria, some calculations I can run.
You're rambling.
Tell
I'm
me
trying to
when
tell
I
you.
should
We're on a
get
panel. You're not
to-
going to get
I
that.
don't care about this.
I'm literally trying to tell you because at the end of the day, regardless, like Amazon is big, but small businesses are still the primary employer in the United States. So yes, there's an interest in keeping them because that's the only way people can have jobs.
That's not a good reason to keep them. I mean, you're saying
Really?
that we're going to have
What?
more employment if we
Jobs
don't let
is not a
people
good
compete
reason?
with small business.
Now
But
you
what about
don't.
the people employed at Amazon?
Like, what are you
Amazon can't-
wait, hold on. I don't understand this. Like, are you saying that like people just be employed at Amazon, or like we're kind of getting lost in the weeds here. I'm really like losing where we're at here.
Well, I'm just trying to get like, it seems like Bam was saying that small businesses employ more people, therefore we should support small businesses at the expense of large businesses. But why?
No, I feel like Bam
What that
has
doesn't
said
follow
multiple
from the
times
former.
on like other panels and conversations that he just wants businesses to thrive. Like I'm sure he's more than happy to have small businesses going alongside larger businesses. It's just that he probably doesn't want to see larger businesses choke out smaller ones. I think most people would have that
Why not?
position.
But that's not even I
Why?
mean, that's not even like something I want or like.
Sure.
It just seems to be. It seems to be something like for the country to function. Like and Amazon wants this too. Amazon wants people to be able to afford to buy their products. So Amazon also, it's also in the interest of Amazon. Amazon's not considering this, but in the long term interest, they do need people to have jobs to buy their products.
But people have jobs at Amazon.
Wait, why do you
No,
why do you
Amazon
think
smaller
can't-
businesses
why do you
make-
think people aren't going to have jobs if they
Just-
buy from Amazon?
Just
Yeah.
real quick, let me.
Like, there are many businesses that rely on Amazon to get their products out to the marketplace.
Such
Such as to go on Amazon right now, look for a thing.
go on
and
Amazon.
you're gonna
Got it. All right.
you're
cool.
gonna find a ton of
How much does
businesses-
Amazon take from
You're
that?
gonna find a ton of businesses that are listing their products on Amazon and shipping them through Amazon.
Yeah, I mean,
How much does Amazon take from that?
Dippy is right
I
about
want-
that, though. I mean, in terms of like,
I mean,
Amazon has a whole
sure.
like small business.
Yeah.
Let me try
hold
this.
on.
But that doesn't replace.
Amazon
But,
has
but
a
just because
small
just
business
because
marketplace.
you're fucking stupid and want to put your business on Amazon, I think it's going to be more successful there. Like people still buy
Why
products
is that
physically in
stupid?
location.
Why is that
Because
stupid?
almost no one
like, you can do it. I think
massive customer
yeah,
base.
and
Why
we
is
just
that stupid?
because I'm saying
Okay.
it's stupid. Like I think it's
okay.
stupid. You don't think it
Well,
is. It's fine.
hold on,
Like, we
but-
can-
but-
There's
hold
a
on.
huge
Businessman,
disconnect. There's a
Jay,
huge
John, I
disconnect
just want to
between.
say, okay, I just want to-
Yeah, I'm actually curious
Oh my
about that,
God.
Joe Lewis. Like, what is the problem? Like, with
you're going like there's different things that you need to have actual control over. Like I'm in an industry that you can't just put things on Amazon and think they're going to be successful. Like you need to have like more control over how you produce that product and how you bring that out to an audience, which is why for me as a musician, like I mean you can say it's silly, but I can say
Well,
it's
because
silly.
I don't think it's comparable to your job as a musician, right? There, a lot of people sell physical products that they make in a factory somewhere.
Yeah,
if
and the thing
Amazon-
is that they
And
don't
if
have
Amazon
like,
is
it's-
willing to handle
not talking
putting
about
their
the same
product
thing.
in front of
We're
a
not-
worldwide
we're not
customer
connecting.
base,
Yeah.
in front of a worldwide customer base, and,
Dude,
and
we
handle
can't-
all the
that-
logistics of the shipping, right, to get it to the customers for a fee, that seems like a pretty good business decision.
I want to
we're
understand.
not connecting.
I
We're
want to
talking about
understand
two different
Joe
things.
Lewis. Then I want to understand what you're saying.
I'm saying that not every small business wants to just feel like they need to be on Amazon to be successful. And a lot of businesses don't need Amazon to be successful. I think that Amazon's a totally fine thing for people to make a choice if they want to put it on there. I personally wouldn't make that choice. Maybe somebody else would, and that's their decision to make. I guess like because I said it's stupid, we're all getting like Dewey's getting bent out of shape, but I just think it's stupid. Like
Yeah, I think what Joe's referencing is laying yourself to like when you make that decision, you're holding yourself to the mercy of Amazon. Once you fall into that business model of this is what we do. If Amazon decides to change their rates or change their fees for shipping, like things like that, you're stuck now. Like you can never.
That's the place for any
Businesses can
marketplace.
change. They
Like
can
for
That's what I'm
change-
saying. You're
They
giving
can
that
change
that
the way
power
they
for
do
them.
business, right? So
right, but not everybody has the
you can say, hey, we're no
overhead.
longer going to list the. Okay, well, we're not talking about every single fucking person, right? It's for people, that this works for, and it seems to be a lot of them because there are tens of thousands of businesses that are supported by Amazon in exactly this way.
All right.
Right? God knows how many jobs that supports, right?
All right.
So it seems like for some people this works just fine, and it's helped them build a business and provide a life for their employees.
Yeah.
So I don't
That
understand.
I
why-
wasn't in disagreement of that. I'm just saying
This
for
sort of
me, I wouldn't make that.
fetishization of small businesses is really, it doesn't make sense economically, right?
Well,
Small
can
bit-
What the
good-
fuck does that even mean?
automatically
Last
good to have
username?
lots
Like,
of
come
money.
on,
You're gonna have to
man.
explain
Like
that.
the
Businesses to be
fuck?
small.
I have a couple
The
questions. for
fetishization
my
of big
please.
business is very concerning right
okay.
now.
I don't fetishize any size business.
Okay.
I don't know, man. We're one step
Nigga,
away
you
from
shop
something
at a
pounds the
store.
way you're
What you talking
sounding.
about?
Tell me how the
It's a
monopoly
business.
money is.
Okay,
Come on.
Okay.
It's
All
to
right.
make stuff.
All right. So
one other
let's get Wick and then Ty Beers.
Okay, so which do you prefer, last username? Do you prefer local small government or do you prefer federal government? If you had to choose, and why?
Well, I need to understand what I'm
So
choosing.
small government, like one of the reasons local government and small governments are so efficient and so effective is because they can respond to the local needs. The local populace has more input, direct input, and it helps them out there. In the same way, a very similar way, not a one-to-one comparison, obviously, but small local businesses can serve the community's needs in a way that the large business, the federalized business cannot, because it can be more responsive.
Yes.
It can address these needs, and if it does harm to the community, it has more of an interest of not doing harm to the community. Whereas a Walmart or an Amazon does not have these considerations.
Oh,
and it
bullshit.
can
Come
go
on,
in and
give
can
me a
definitely
break.
destroy local economies, but they don't care because at the end of the day, their bottom line is being served. So much in the same way that we should not
Small
just
businesses
let
and
the
big
federal
businesses have the
government
same
just take
incentives, have
control
the
of
same.
everything.
No,
both
they
trying to do
don't.
the same.
People, like, come on.
Small
that's
businesses
the
are
thing.
trying to be big
In the
businesses.
same
That's
way.
the
No, they're not.
This
Small
is what you
businesses
argue.
want.
This is
No,
what
they're
you
not.
argue all the time, that federal government is bad. In the same way, I'm trying to tell you that the big
we're not talking about
businesses
government.
and these
We're talking
federal
about businesses.
businesses have a lot of the same
Governments and
problems.
businesses are not the same thing.
But small
Okay.
businesses have an interest, like the dollars you spend in your small business are more likely to be like circulated back into your community versus Amazon, whose headquarters is
No.
probably not even in your state.
So who cares? That doesn't matter.
The
But,
people,
the
the
hell-
local
That's what
community
people in the
fucking
community
cares.
should give a
Right.
shit. What the
Yeah.
fuck? What take is that, man?
And I'm not
Like-
even, like I said, I'm not a small business cuck. I'm just saying it seemed like the government, like everyone in the government agrees that like small businesses are extremely vital to like the American population. Like if they could do everything with just one company, they would.
But
Like
that's nonsense. That's stupid, like political pandering. It doesn't
not
make any
pan-
sense.
it's not
It's
pandering.
what's
it actually
important is that
They're the
it's
largest
good
employer.
that
Pandering,
people
too.
are able to start businesses. Okay, the freedom to start businesses and reducing barriers to start businesses, that's a good thing. But that
Cool.
doesn't mean that we should try to favor small businesses versus big businesses, or to keep businesses small. That's not. There's nothing
I don't think
good
anybody's.
about that.
Wait
I don't
a
think
second.
anybody's saying that.
Wouldn't a
But that is what-
large
yeah, that's what
company-
everyone's
look,
saying.
Last
That's
That's
year,
not what
wouldn't
everyone's
a
saying.
large
You're just making shit up.
company- Last year,
Come
I
on,
have a
man.
question for you.
My bad. Let
Wouldn't a
Tiberius
large
get in
company.
for a second.
Am
I
I muted
appreciate
or
that.
something?
So I'm going to split a different field. I'm not going to do the small business big versus thing because I'll spice it as this. Big businesses generally tend to be more quote unquote efficient due to the fact that they have the economy of scale effect. That is that they can optimize their distribution chains and their revenue chains to a degree that is not on the small business scale. So they tend to be better on the price point. That's just a general rule. It's not every exception. But here's the thing I want to get into. Because while I am very much pro-capitalist in this camp, is that I do not accept the notion that Amazon is a free market success story because its number one partner is the USPS, a company basically that is government subsidized that has reported a loss of over $5 billion on a yearly basis for the last 5 years. This is not a success story in the regards of, oh, look at them, they're delivering cheaper products for us at record prices. No, this is actually a government intervention story on how Amazon partnered with a government subsidized firm, USPS, into getting things to you cheaper off the back of your tax dollars. This is what this conversation really is. It's not a success. It's a cheat.
I'm sorry. Did you say that you were talking about the USPS losing money?
Yes, the USPS has reported losses of over $5 billion.
But you know why, though, right? Specifically, why that happened?
I'm listening.
Because of what Republicans, first of all, I believe it was George W. Bush who passed that into law, the like Mail Reform Act or some shit like that, that had the USPS, like unlike literally any other organization, like anywhere in the world, had to pay out, cover its pension funds 75 years, I believe 75 years into the future. And so they were had this massive debt hanging over them that made it difficult to compete, which is why post offices around the country had to close, because it's not that they were being inefficient, not that they were not delivering properly, not that mail delivery had fallen so much that it couldn't keep up. It's literally this burden that the Republican Party put on them that Joe Biden only just took off of them this week, or last week. They just made a change, so it runs like any other company.
I don't think the USPS needs to be profitable.
It actually has to be. It actually constitutionally has to be.
Okay, well, I was going to split this.
It's not funded by taxes.
Yeah,
USPS.
yeah. It has to operate by its own.
If you're reporting losses of $5 billion, you've got to have a system here. Now, let me go into this and break it down.
What system? No, I'm saying I'm telling you that it was legislative. It was a legislative burden put on the USPS. You have to look this up. You don't have to believe me. Look it up.
No. I do believe you on this one.
Okay.
I'm not an expert on exactly how everything in USPS works. What I am getting at is that the last that I have checked is that it's reporting losses. While it is, depending on your definition, I guess, government subsidized or not, because they do have internal revenues, but also they report losses year after year after year, is that this is a federally backed corporation that is there to supply you your daily mail. I have no problem with that. And if it runs out of loss to secure that you get your mail, that you get your bills on time, I'm fine with that. What I don't care for is Amazon riding off the back of this system, where unless you're going to tell me, and you can prove to me in numbers, that Amazon is actually making USPS a profit, they shouldn't be able to tag into that logistics chain, because that is subsidized by our tax dollars to keep your mail working, not to get goods and services to you at a discounted rate.
By taxes. How is it subsidized by taxes?
Okay, so the last time I checked, and I granted not an expert here, is that the write-off that is done for this at the end of the year is a federally backed grant where sorry, I can't, I'm a little disjointed here. You have a federally backed grant for the USPS. I think it's about $10 billion a year that in the event that they have to write off a loss, it is paid for by the grant to keep going. Now, I don't know what that grant is called. I can go do some more research if I need to. The long and the short here is that this was a federally backed institution that goes back to literally like 1858. Is how old the USPS is.
It says $18 billion in taxpayer-backed subsidies annually. Okay, yeah, that's a huge feature.
And are you suggesting the USPS would be in better shape without Amazon, which is like their biggest?
I don't
customer?
know. That's what I was gonna say. What I am putting out here is that this is a net at loss system. So either one of two things is happening. Either one, USPS is actually helping them, but they're not actually letting it to where the Amazon is helping USPS to the point where it's helping them, but it's still not profitable for USPS to operate, or that Amazon is actually exploiting USPS to get cheaper goods to you, but you're actually paying for it through your tax dollars.
And another
How are they
another
exploiting them? Like,
aspect
I
to
assume the
this-
USPS doesn't need to have Amazon as their customer. They're not being forced, are they?
Look,
I don't believe they're being forced. So that's the
Well,
question.
then why? Like, you're saying that they're choosing to do business with Amazon and they're losing money. That seems like the USPS's fault, like not Amazon's. Like, you can't blame your customers if your own business can't make a profit off of them, right?
Another thing that we have to kind of address here, and this is related, but a little bit to the side of the USPS thing, is that if Amazon gets its claws and hooks into these things, I don't know how many of you remember 2008 when we had that collapse and a lot of businesses got bailed out. Okay, so when we talk about Amazon failing, it won't be allowed to fail. The government will step in, and because it's connected to all these different systems and things like that, because it's connected to so many different businesses, it will not be allowed to fail. And we have seen this in the past. The government will step in, use the tax money from people to help bail them out, and regardless of innovation, regardless of technology, regardless of all that, the government will not allow this to fail. And so when you have Amazon getting its hooks into the USPS, lobbying for deregulations in some aspects, and lobbying the government and into the pockets of politicians, they're going to help these guys succeed because they're so large, because they're so big, because I believe the term is too big to fail. And one more question for Prime. Why does anyone need their mail delivered 6 days a week? I just don't know. Like, sorry, that was a question.
Should be 7 actually.
Lots
7,
of businesses.
But can I,
like,
can I, so
I don't know why you're just
can I-
assuming the government will bail out Amazon.
Because they
Lots of
have
big
before.
businesses fail.
Look at the
Can I-
why
They
They
bailed
bailed
out
why
some
wouldn't
businesses,
Amazon
things like
get
the
bailed
auto
out?
industry, but they don't generally do that. And the best way to prevent them from doing that is to not let them get involved with Amazon in the first place, which is what you'd be doing if you advocated
they
for the government
are
like nationalizing them or
involved. Like,
breaking
they
them up or
are.
whatever, right?
We
They
would
want to get
want-
involved.
Right now.
Well,
We
so
would
I-
want the government to like bail out Amazon. We absolutely would. And that whether you like
No.
Amazon or don't like Amazon,
No, we don't want that.
the level of employer
What?
they are for the United States. It's the libertarian like right wing talk about like, oh yeah, we just need to let businesses fail. There are catastrophic effects for having a million people lose their job. all
If
at once.
Amazon's failing, it's because there's some new competitor that's succeeding.
Like
And they're
who?
probably taking away
Like,
Amazon's labor as well.
like
as
who's
their
gonna
business.
compete with it? Like they're like, come on now,
I
it's
don't know.
childish
We'll-
to think that.
we'll have to
it's
see. 'Cause
childish.
right
It's
now,
childish
they
to
don't
think that
exist
there's.
yet, but they'll
childish.
be here
It's
eventually. right? Something
it's
will come
childish
along.
to think that there's going to be a
Something always
business.
does. Just like Kmart used to be big, and now they're beat.
Yeah,
by
and Kmart
Amazon.
was still
Someone will come
competing
along
with
and whip
multiple
Amazon
other.
at some point.
That this take is so fucking stupid. Like I
This
don't
is
like. I don't
literally-
understand like why
this
you
is
would
what
like.
happens
I
over
don't
and over
know
and over again.
how anybody, regardless of ideology, would believe that the United States government wouldn't have any type of interest in Amazon. Like, of course, like if they're failing, of course they're going to help them. Like that's ridiculous. It's
Why?
ridiculous to
Tons-
think
lots of
otherwise.
big businesses fail.
People get
and
mad about the airlines.
Government doesn't
Okay,
bail them out.
but
let's-
imagine
let's get Dibby and then Dionysus.
So I vaguely remembered a story from back when Trump was attacking Amazon, right, in the news. And I remember there being like this number that was thrown around by all the typical mainstream media, lefty places, that said that Amazon actually generates a profit for the USPS. So I Googled it really quickly to just make sure I'm not lying to you guys.
I was just
And
looking
yeah.
at this myself.
Yeah, it seems like Amazon generates about $3.9 billion a year of activity for the USPS, and 1.6 billion of that is profit, because the USPS actually makes money on every single package that Amazon puts through them. Right, so they're not losing money on this. They're actually generating a ton of money by working with Amazon. Right, and Amazon, because of this fact, Amazon is actually working on moving away from the USPS and shifting to delivering their own shit. Right, which would save them billions of dollars. Right, so this whole talking point of Amazon relying on the USPS and losing us money or losing them money to get their packs to them, or someone else subsidizing them in that way, is total bullshit.
Well, they are
No,
relying.
no,
That's
no,
not.
no. I brought this up because I want to get into the weeds in this to some degree. So the reason why I don't think it's bullshit is because, like, no matter who I ask or no matter what source I bring up, is that the numbers are largely conflictory. How is it that I can
No, they're
literally
not.
look at one? No, seriously. How is it that I can look up and it's saying UPS in 2020 lost $6.8 billion? And then at the same year, for these same people, they're claiming that Amazon made UPS a profit of 1.9.
Wait, lost $6 billion in their work in their business with Amazon specifically, or
No.
in total?
Overall.
In total, okay, but in their business with Amazon, they generate over $1 billion in profit every year.
But their adjusted
So if you wanna take it-
loss
if
is
you wanna
almost
take-
$7 billion in
Okay, but you're
2021.
literally
that's
not
separate from
profit.
Amazon. So if they have other issues in other places, that has nothing to do with Amazon.
I
Amazon's
think-
business with them is profitable.
No.
Wait,
Yeah,
but Tiberius, Ty, are you confused with like the idea that like even if you like look at the USPS on its face with their fiscal results, that they're saying that they're losing somewhere, like they're at like a $7 billion loss, but then at the same time, like you have like another, in this case, what was it, like whatever 3 billion over number was just thrown out there? Is that your conflict there? I'm trying to understand.
No, my conflict is well, I get where you're going with this because it's a very easy accounting thing that you can screw
Yeah.
up. Is
Yeah.
that I'm not confused in the idea that Amazon actually can be making the money, but the numbers that they're giving me is that if Amazon is helping USPS, it makes a total sense to say, hey, Amazon has contributed to like what was it, $3.9 billion in revenue services for the USPS.
Sure.
That part makes sense. The
Yeah.
part where they're like, it's profitable, I'm sitting here, I'm like, all right, if you are making that much profit from your your business ties with this with this company, and yet somehow you're reporting losses of triple that makes me
Got
go
it.
full like red herring. I'm like,
Okay.
The
yeah.
USPS does business with hundreds of thousands of other companies that ship through them and hundreds of millions of citizens, right, in the United States and outside of the US who ship shit to the US that goes through the USPS. So if other parts of the USPS, their business is losing money, that has nothing to do with Amazon. Amazon's part of their total revenue is profitable. They're making money on that. If you took that away,
this is quite
be,
measurable.
They'd
right?
be
Like,
even
they can look
further
at-
in debt. Like it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why you're hitting on.
They can look at the cost of the services they provide Amazon versus the revenue they get from Amazon, and look at the difference. And as I understand from what Doobie's telling me, that comes to a profit. So the money they're losing is not from Amazon. As in,
Yeah,
if
and
Amazon
I
suddenly
posted it in the private
stopped
chat
doing
so you
business
guys
with
can
them
see it too.
today, they would still be losing money. They'd probably be losing more money since they'd lose the profit they get from Amazon, right?
Yeah,
Diana-
it seems like exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Done.
so
Okay.
the idea that
has
if
nothing to do with
Amazon
Amazon.
goes under, that we're not going to save them via bailout is complete bullshit. Just not even looking at any other parts of the industry that Amazon has their hands in. Just hosting websites alone via AWS, they host 47% of the internet. If you think that there's even a chance of that falling down, the government's not going to save it. You're lying to yourself. It's gonna happen.
When a business
We just
goes under, it's
we
not like a
bailed
business
out
that's
airlines
massively
like 2 years
successful
ago,
and has
okay?
owns tons of important assets suddenly just disappears overnight. That's not how going out of
Giant
business
businesses
works.
fail.
The way they go out of
multiple
business
times.
is by slowly losing all of that market share and losing all that control to other things. And eventually,
And this is the part where
by
you
the time they go
probably
out of business,
say,
they
Like-
won't be controlling all this infrastructure.
Sure, and
all
this is- and
stuff.
this
That's
is-
why they go out of business, right?
and this is the part where you probably say that like you'd probably make up some hypothetical in some imaginary world where like there is a business that competes with Amazon, then maybe we'll look at it that way, right? Is that like where that goes?
He did Star Trek. He said once Star Trek is real and we have replicators, then Amazon might fail.
No,
I
they
don't-
can't because they have Blue
Or 3D
Origin.
printer.
Amazon's already Star
Something
Trek.
that Amazon,
They beat you
something
to
someone
it.
else comes up
Like-
with that's a huge deal that Amazon is not agile enough to adopt.
Yeah, and
Well,
to
you will
think
all the
that
time.
Amazon hasn't thought about that is like by far the stupidest. Like I'm not saying that you would
Every
think
business
that.
thinks about it, but it doesn't mean that they're they're capable of dealing with it. Like this happens over and
Oh,
over again. Every business,
they're capable.
businesses
They're
try to keep
capable.
up and they try to like stay on top of the next big thing. But it seems like this is one of the diseconomies of scale, right? Ty was talking about economies of scale. There's also diseconomies of scale. And the big one is that when you get really big, it's really hard to change. It's really hard to adapt to fundamental changes in technology and
They will.
society.
They
And
have
that's
been.
usually what takes down the big
Like-
companies, right?
But
Something fundamentally changes and they know it, they see it coming. They try to adapt. They try to like change the way they do things, and it just doesn't work because
Sure.
they can't. It's really hard for big
But they
companies to
have
change, and
shown
that's how the
time
little
and time again
over and
to
replace
adapt.
big guys of
They've
these
shown
things.
time. They've shown time and time again that they're going to adapt. Though I can't think of a.
No, they haven't.
I think the
Give me
difference is
not.
something. Then
Tons
give
of
me,
companies
give me,
like that go away.
give me
Sears,
something. Give me something.
Kmart.
Like give me
Wait.
something.
Like
Give me
that's why
something.
you have
Give me
companies like
something.
Microsoft that get
Kmart
IBM
is
placed
not
by Microsoft,
equivalent.
I'm
placed by
talking
Google,
about
placed by
Amazon.
blah, 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 blah,
Give me
right?
something. Give me something that Amazon currently sucks at. You know the
They
answer.
don't suck
to
at
the
anything
question.
right now. They're gonna
Yeah,
suck
they
at
suck at
something
physical
else.
store. They suck at physical store locations.
They don't even suck at that
But
because
that's
isn't
because
like Amazon
they don't care about
the,
physical store locations.
Do they?
Isn't-
Do,
but
that's not
yesterday.
exactly
That's
true.
the old tech.
But
That's the thing.
That's not exactly true. They're trying to
Isn't-
reimagine physical store locations so that you walk into a store, get what you need, and fuck off, which is like the dream for a lot of people in cities. So it's like, and they're in cities
Amazon?
doing that right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amazon
Once
cart.
again, even if
Amazon
they
Go.
were, and
Yeah, that's a
I want to
thing.
reiterate this, gang, because
Whole Foods is already doing this,
Even if they were
which is
to
owned by
have
Amazon.
Oh, like
competitors
supermarkets.
come in or things like that,
A-
again,
anything.
because of the way that they own a lot of these different, they have power over a lot of these different points of a chain of production, like the internet and things like that. Because of the power and influence they hold, both in the government and without, the government isn't going to allow them to go away or fail, and so that they could
What
conduct
influence?
business.
What power and influence in the government? The government fucking hates them. Government uses this as a
No,
scapegoat.
they
all the
don't. No,
time.
they don't. No, they
Well,
don't. Like,
you
you
don't
really
think
think,
they're-
like,
Trump
they're
was, like,
pockets,
shitting on them all the time.
politicians,
like, come
You
on,
point
come
at
on,
like
now.
three
and-
fucking populace, and you think that's the full government?
like,
Come on, there's like
They
a
like
total
Am- like-
number of
like-
5 guys maybe who have the shit for fucking Amazon that might do it publicly at a fucking trial hearing once or twice a year.
yeah, they'll
whole
bitch about
government really
Amazon, but
backs
then
Amazon.
they'll
Like, come on.
they'll bitch about Amazon, and then they'll get their fucking products from there. Like most
Yeah.
of the time, politicians are.
I'm sure lots of people in the
capitalizing on
government
that
shop at Amazon and like Amazon, as they
shit.
should. It's a
Yeah,
really
and they
big, important company.
probably don't
But-
want Amazon to fail,
and
and then if
Amazon
they
stops at the White House
plenty
for
of government
politicians. It
contracts.
does. Like,
Plenty of government contracts.
Let's go to Bam Bam. Bam. Just the one, right? He's not deserving of 2. And then Doobie, and then Ty.
Yeah, I think something that's very like I think what you said, like a diseconomy of scale. I've never even heard of that, but I think what makes Amazon different in that regard is Amazon is it like they don't have one business model. They're extremely diversified in the things that they do, even more so than Walmart or any other company you can look at. Like I said, they do physical stores, they do online shopping, they own the internet. They I've seen the thing about the Amazon Hive. That sounds crazy with the drones delivering things across like metropolitan areas. It seems like they're staying on the cusp of like what new tech is, and if someone does come up with something, they'll pay them $1 billion to buy it out and like take it because they can afford to do so. I'm not gonna come up with this idea of like it'll never. There's nothing that could ever change that could ever make it fail. But like we can't compare like previous. There is no like there is no example that fits what Amazon is currently doing. Like
yeah, that's why I said
Kmart
like
was not Amazon at all, not even close. Even in its heyday.
Kmart was like a budget. It was just like another budget store, and was competing alongside other budget stores. They weren't like in the market of like selling quality products. The problem with places like Kmart is that they just location was like an issue with a lot of these places where like Kmart couldn't expand at the same scale that Walmart could expand. That's why if you look at like even in like the Kmart in question, there's 2 Walmarts 5 miles from each other, north and south. Like you're not going to compete against that long term. Because like Walmart has the ability to not only build these things fast and also get these things fast and consumer ready in like months. For Kmart and other businesses, it's a considerable amount of time. And I think that's why it's kind of like weird to, I don't know. This whole thing.
So can I?
Doobie.
Yeah, because I think it's really weird. You guys saying, "Hey, name something that Amazon won't like adapt to." Right? If something new comes out, they'll adapt to it, and they'll like win. Right? Whatever like arms race happen. But you guys are saying
we
this
don't know
it's
what
like
it is. Like,
wait, hold on. But you're saying it
we
as if it's a bad thing, right? So like, let's say they did adapt, They did do whatever the thing is better. They did have drones flying out packages and shit, and it worked, and people liked the service. What's the issue with that? What's the issue with them continuing to grow?
That's not
If people are voluntarily choosing to purchase their products and they're providing a good service that people want and need.
So for me, I can't speak for the rest of the panel here, but for me, that's not my primary issue with Amazon. My issue with Amazon is if they don't, if for whatever reason they aren't able to compete, they will not fail because the government will come in and step in and bail them out. And that's just going to happen. So they won't, like, it's almost disincentivizing them to keep up in a way. Because again, they won't be allowed to go under like Kmart was, for example, because the vast interconnections they have with so many other businesses, so many other parts of our lives, right? Too big to fail is a thing, and I don't think they will be allowed to fail. I think history has shown us that the government will step in and stop it from happening.
A better example than Walmart may be, than Amazon, maybe what Apple, Samsung, and Google. Are there any other phone companies that compete? Like I couldn't even tell you what Apple's market
At least in
share is.
America. I mean, obviously, other like our phone economy is a lot
OIC.
different than
Yeah.
in other countries. Like, but that's like a totally other thing, I think, right? Again, maybe it's not. I don't know.
I have no idea. It
We
just
can
seems
we can turn a topic out of an apple, so maybe we can do that with phones and shit. I don't know.
So I guess next person is Ty. But before that, I just want to say that like I think you guys are not getting the full picture as to why Kmart went out of business. I mean, part of it was that they were bought by a hedge fund, or is it a hedge fund manager, and they were stripping it for assets. The same, and they also bought Sears, right? And they're stripping it for assets. Sears, like someone said previously, Sears was in position to actually take advantage of like the new retail space, but they didn't because the people who bought them actually didn't care about that. The same thing happened to Toys R Us. Toys R Us was in a position to keep dominating the market the way they've literally always done, but they were bought by a hedge fund, and they were just stripped for resources, right? This is what they do. So it's happened again and again. These, I think even KB Toys, I think that happened to them too. I don't quote me on that one. But I think that happened to them as well. Is that they'll take control of these organizations and load them up with debt, and then like siphon out the profits. Like this is what keeps happening. So to just say that they couldn't compete. I mean, technically yes, because management was not interested in doing that. So that's like part of American capital that actually needs to be confronted, or we will keep losing these stores that can actually have a chance of competing with rivals like Amazon and Walmart. Tiberius?
Yeah, so two things. Number one, I'm double checking into the numbers that we were running with earlier just to kind of like sort through it, and there is like it's almost political in regard of the viewpoint there, because the original claim came from Trump saying that USPS was actually losing billions. And literally, like, I'm finding different sources with different claims. So I do apologize, but what I will say is this. If LU and Doobie are right and that Amazon's actually helping USPS, then I would concede the point. I just can't find anything solid because literally one source to another just varies in numbers. So I'm just going to call that a draw because I don't fucking... I'm going to stroke. I will back them up. I will back them up on the other thing in the regards that, yes, probably Amazon is riding high right now, but it is very likely not to be doing that in 10 years. We usually see some company come up. They'll usually be on the top, basically the Fortune 10 for the, longest we've ever seen, I think, is 15 years. But usually after that point, somebody either new comes in, not even in the same industry, but they basically get supplanted by the next technology, or the next thing comes into where somebody just gets mad at them, or they become incredibly inefficient. One of the things that we're definitely seeing with some of these super majors, we can talk about Disney, we can talk about Alphabet, we can talk about Amazon, is that these companies they do get so big as a conglomerate that they can't watch after everything that they're working on because they have their hands in so many pies. It really works very well as an asset manager in the regards that they will maintain and hold wealth because if one of their business fails, they're usually fine because they have three others that are working. But when it comes to efficiency, this is usually how these companies start sliding off of that list, is that they can't maintain the super efficient levels of either production or logistics or what have you that enables to stay them, one of the Fortune. That's probably going to happen to Amazon, but I wouldn't expect that to happen for the better part of the next 5 years.
I really want to see the Fortune 500 from like 30 years ago and see how many of those businesses are on government life support versus how many of them have just gone under.
I'll give you the list from 1967, which I know that's a long time ago, but just here you go: U.S. Steel, AT&T, Standard Oil, Bethlehem Steel, Armor & Co., which is a food, Swift & Co., International Harvester.
We don't need all 500 of them, but I mean, how many of those are on life support?
Most of them have all either been bought out or have been. I'll put it this way: the only company here that I see that either hasn't been completely nuked by somebody or bought out that might be on life support is U.S. Steel, because I think actually the the Trump National Security Act to actually have U.S. made products help them out a bit. But other than that, most of these companies don't even exist anymore.
A lot of the companies 30 years ago are still here. That's 92. It's not that far. You just we gotta stop being boomers and update how far back we go. It's 2022 now.
The point is, how many of them would fail if they weren't, are now on life support and would be gone if they weren't, right? That's
I don't know. I'm
challenging this narrative that the U.S. government just automatically bails out.
Yeah, we'd have to go down.
Counterfactual.
Yeah, I'm looking at the top 5 right now: General Motors, Exxon, Ford, Intel Business Machines, General Electric, Mobil, Atira Group, DuPont. These are names that still exist now. As
far as I know, the car companies get subsidies. But
this is digging. Okay, this is digging. All right.
But aside from that, it's not the general case.
It actually, is the case for. It's not the case for. Yes, of course, duh.
Yeah, businesses have changed.
But there's no reason to expect that Amazon is going to be bailed out by the government just because they're big. Most companies that are big and start failing are allowed to fail.
We've said why, though. The other people said why, though. Why are you acting like that? This perspective, why people think it won't fail, wasn't represented. The hands that are in the other places. Amazon isn't just in one lane; it's in a bunch of lanes at the same time, sometimes independent of each other. So, in a lot of ways, if one thing fails, it has a lot of hands in other areas, and of course, the government's gonna be like, "Hey, maybe we probably shouldn't let this thing fail." This is a perspective that's been nuanced in other different ways, and I don't even give a shit about the economy like that. And I remember hearing that from Ty Bam.
They're not going to, when they fail, it's not going to be this entire industry that they dominate. They suddenly go away and no one else does that, right? They're going to fail because competitors start taking their market share away in those industries. So it's not like we're going to lose the online retail industry or lose the web hosting industry.
The case as well.
Let's go to
Amazon's just going to lose their share.
Let's do Jay Chow, Doobie, and then Wick if you want.
Yeah, in response to the last username, there have been multiple times in which companies have failed when bankrupt because not for reasons of them losing market shares to other competitors. I mean, just look at airlines during the coronavirus pandemic.
Or losing the market.
Airlines,
no one wants to buy it
going
anymore.
out of business. Airlines weren't filing for bankruptcy because some competitor decided to take away their customers and were flying more planes.
Yeah, they were.
Or they had better planes.
They competed with each other. That's how airlines. That's why airlines are.
Because of other factors that had.
And yet we have lots of airlines and lots of cheap air travel right now.
And the
cheaper
reason
than
why.
it's ever
been. You let them finish?
They got bailed out. They got loaned by the government in order to be kept afloat. So
no, they used to. The government used to highly regulate airlines, and the prices were crazy high. Now they just let them compete with each other, and we got lots of cheap airlines. When they go to business, new ones pop up.
Lots of cheap airlines. Air Jamaica.
See, last year's the reason why those airlines got bailed out in the first place, and not because of reasons that you think businesses go out of business for, is because they provide a vital service to.
Which airlines got bailed out?
Is this a real question?
Let's get it up right now. Okay, guys.
Yeah, airlines are just on super thin margins.
Oh, let's Google. Let's all Google at the same time. Let's go. Let's see who gets it first.
Anything else?
What's the best
everything else that Amazon has a connection with to the government, is not that important to you, that would convince you that the government is actually going to bail out Amazon. Amazon has I'm pretty sure a number of weapons contracts with the United States government. Amazon as a corporation is a vital security interest, not just because of its shipping or the food or web services, but also because of defense, as well as space. aerospace is like this like huge next frontier. You're talking about, Star Trek and whatnot. Yeah, like Amazon is one of many companies trying to
If they have lots of
make
weapon
inroads
contracts,
in that
then they're obviously
area.
not going to go out of business, right? They're going to make money from those contracts. If
Oh,
they're
yes,
if they go
yeah,
out of the
absolutely.
weapons business, that's probably because the government doesn't have any contracts for them
but that's
anymore.
besides.
So why would they care?
But whether or not Amazon going out of business is realistic is besides the point of what is actually the point. Which is
What
that
is
if it-
actually the point? I don't
which is
understand.
in the case that when there is a monopoly, the risk is that that monopoly can function very minimally, not to the way that we actually want it to, because it has the benefit of it getting bailed out.
What?
That is not how we would want a market economy to function. When you have a company
are you
that
talking
is
about?
like, when you have a company, no, this is honestly, wait, last Susan, there's no way you don't understand this, or
I
else
don't.
I'm just
I really
explaining this
don't.
really badly. Like,
Yep.
it's
That's that one.
maybe so. Okay, so if you have a company that has, like, say hypothetically 60% of the total market share over something, and it's able to outcompete other competitors, it's able to buy them and squash them internally, it's able to just grow, at some point it actually has very little incentive to innovate or to change, because it is just going to keep the status quo, because that's what's working. Any sort of R&D is
That
just
doesn't
going
seem to be the
more
case for Amazon,
costs.
though, because
Yeah, you guys
so
just
far they've been
argued
doing
earlier
tons
that
and
they're
tons
like
of
on the cusp of a new
Okay.
tech.
So now let's talk about Amazon, and that, like, I'm kind of like on the fence between both sides here, because I see the risk of Amazon becoming a monopoly and that being bad. So, like, kind of what Wick was saying before, and we kind of have to, like, be careful and watch this, because there are actual risks to Amazon becoming a monopoly. But I also don't think Amazon is at that point yet, because Amazon does have other competitors that is keeping it on its toes, that is giving it incentive to continuously innovate and to continuously try to provide the better product and the better service.
So
Yeah.
your lack of
let's go to Doobie and then Wick.
Well, so Amazon employs like I think it's like 1.1 million people in the United States, right? And supports hundreds of thousands of small businesses. I'm wondering, like, where the line is for you guys. So if you guys would break them up, right, because they're too big to fail, quote unquote. Like, what about McDonald's that actually employs more people in the U.S. than Amazon? That has like 20-some% of market share in the fast food. What about any of these other very large companies, right, that are doing very well in their sectors, that employ more people than Amazon does? Like, is it just that they're employing tons of people, and that if they went bankrupt, all these people would be out of the job, right? And all the communities serviced by these businesses would be damaged in some way? Like, do you guys want to break up McDonald's and General Electric
I don't
and
want to break
fucking?
up Amazon. Like I keep
Well,
saying,
then
I
what are you
don't
guys
think we should break them
advocating
up.
for?
What I'm advocating for, and what last username has continuously asked, the why, much like a 3-year-old would, is like, why would it be important to look at this company and check it out and make sure that it doesn't get to a point where we do have a vested interest in breaking them up, and to act like your lack of imagination of why different reasons companies can fail, besides losing market share to a competitor, isn't an argument. Okay, that's just lack
Wait,
of
do you
creativity.
think the U.S. government isn't keeping an eye on Amazon and how profitable they are and
That
looking for
I
signs
think
of
they
like?
are, and I think they
You
Well,
should.
think
then
I'm
what's
One of
arguing
the
that you should
things the
stop
government incentivizes-
watching
hold on,
things
wait,
to
wait,
see if
please.
they
Let me
become something that you should
your
do
question,
something about?
and let me answer
What?
your question, and I can let you finish. One of the reasons that the government is kind of not, I don't trust it in this case, is because many politicians are in the pocket of Amazon right now. And because of lobbying and the way our political system works in America, one of the unfortunate downsides of it is that politicians and companies and corporations such as Amazon can have outsized influence on how regulations is doing. And it's the same reason, like when cops investigated themselves and like, oh, we did nothing wrong, and when the government is investigating Amazon and over half of the politicians are in the pocket of Amazon, I think there's a good chance that they might not do the most fair and balanced job, and I think that's a concern.
Where are you getting these half the politicians from the pocket of Amazon? How are they?
It's facetious,
Who?
I
Why?
understand, but
How are they in the pocket of Amazon?
Well,
He
because
just
where
said
are
it's
you getting-
facetious. You're not going to get an answer. Like,
I really want to answer Doobie's question, because I did have something that I wanted to get in there. I'm not nearly concerned with like how many people employ as much as is two things. Number one for me is market share and how much it has. You were talking about how McDonald's has about 20, 25. 25 gets up there for me, but like before you cross 33, I'm not really super worried. We're talking about Amazon, who has 40. On the other side of that, we're talking about McDonald's, which is not really a conglomerate, and I don't even know if they're bought out by anybody. But as far as I can tell, you're talking about a company that's worth 47.5 billion, according to the numbers that I have. If you want the whole brand value, it's estimated somewhere around 130 billion. Amazon has 40% market share just within e-commerce and is valued at over 1.5 trillion. Yes, that is such a ginormous beast for me that it reminds me way too much of Standard Oil. I would like to break this thing up because it is a threat to national security if something goes wrong with this damn thing.
Do you want to break up Apple too?
Yes.
You want to break up
and Ty, I guess you would be concerned with McDonald's, right? Because they're categorized as, oh Jesus Christ, they're categorized as a burger chain, right? So I guess like for you,
break all those companies up.
I have no idea who the fuck is talking over me. So I'm trying to talk to Tiberius. So like something that I think that you would probably be concerned with, right, is like if McDonald's started branching out to like things outside of their fast food lane. So like if they started like going into more like, as gross it might sound, fine dining, using like shop thing in air quotes and stuff like that. And with the same like level of market share, if not more. Right? I'm assuming. I'm inferring a lot there, by the way. So
like I get where you're going with this, and there's a weird in economics we call this horizontal versus vertical, and the problem is that there are certain industries that are kind of like diagonal, where you are like a semi-competitor. Like McDonald's doesn't compete with Applebee's in a particular way, right? But if McDonald's started buying Applebee's, is that a bad thing? Because it's a
because like I could, as much as I don't think anybody eats at Applebee's. I think it's just there for representative purposes. But if McDonald's made some merger with like Apple, just like say Applebee's, right? They'd be like, wait a minute, what? And then it's like, then I think things get a little weird.
Me and my girl level 2 for 25.
I'll put it. Put it this way: the two things that concern me is
the Asian chicken salad is really good.
Oh my god!
Nobody eats at Applebee's. It's just there for representative purposes.
You eat at Chili's instead. Anyway,
true.
All right. What I do want to hear is that what concerns me very much when you go laterally or vertically. I can't speak today. It's the one that's parallel. When you go into other market or other sectors. Other sectors of your chain is that once you get over 33%, I get worried, and once you get hit past 40, I personally think that you should be investigated for antitrust. Granted, those laws haven't been updated since literally the 1960s. So, if they want to get on board with that, they're welcome to have a look at it. The other side of this is that if you go horizontal, I'm fine with big companies, but there is certain companies that literally, if you have an asset value that is literally, 10% of GDP, like you might be a little too big. Granted, we're talking, asset values in the trillions of dollars for many of these conglomerates, but that much wealth and that little of hands does bother me. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a fervent capitalist, but I understand the dynamics of power, and with that much power and that much wealth, you've got serious claims to oligarchy here.
Then you should really consider becoming a socialist.
I don't think you can call yourself a capitalist when you want to break up companies for being too successful. When you want to break up Apple, I'm sure you want to break up Disney.
I didn't realize it had to be all absolutes.
But
Come
actually,
it's not all or
matters.
nothing.
You're talking to Doobie. He's gonna get like 10 whatabouts.
It actually matters though, because like all sectors are not built the same, right? When we talk about a national security risk, right? It's like like McDonald's is not. If McDonald's went under, it'd be huge, right? It'd be catastrophic. Something like suddenly McDonald's disappeared tomorrow, right? That would be catastrophic, right? But it's not the same effect on the economy and on the nation as if Lockheed Martin suddenly disappeared, right? Or Intel, right? Disappeared. So when we're talking about national security, I would say Amazon, with its huge retail market, and the fact that, like, for instance, so much medicine goes through Amazon, right? Like something like that, that'd be disastrous. The fact that Amazon and Dynas was trying to get to this before has AWS, Amazon Web Services, and like what percentage of the internet runs on AWS? It's a huge
47.
Thank you.
47 approximately.
It's unbelievable. And when it goes down, because literally you can't go anywhere. Like it happens every so often. And then like you're wondering why are all my services down? Because AWS is down, so the internet is down, right? And so I think it would be reasonable to say that company in particular, right, is has strategic value to the United States, right? And whether it lives or die or it gets broken up. Not so much McDonald's, at least not in the same way.
And also breaking up doesn't
but
mean
I
that
think
those
you guys
companies
are-
don't exist anymore. They just
I
become
think you
like
guys are overselling the power of like their market share. Right? They have other competitors.
47%
Okay,
of
hold
the
on.
web hosting for AWS
Okay,
alone.
who's the next biggest one?
It's probably
I'll
Google.
look it up.
It's probably like
Google
Microsoft
Cloud.
or Google, right?
Yeah,
And they're
Microsoft
pretty
Azure
fucking
or
big
Google
too.
Cloud. Yeah.
And if AWS started going down and the company was falling apart, I'm sure Microsoft and Google would come and pick up the pieces and buy off chunks of it, right? That'd be fine, right? Same with their medicine delivery service. Walmart has their medicine cabinet. I think it's called the Walmart medicine cabinet, where they do exactly the same thing. They don't have as much market share as Amazon, but they're pretty fucking close, right? They have other competitors in the retail space like Alibaba, like Etsy, like eBay. They're also very big, right? And if Amazon started falling apart, it's not something that would happen overnight. Something that would take a very long time as they started losing market share, right? These other companies would come in, and other companies would pop up and eat up that market share.
there's real life logistics that I don't think companies can meet. Like, it's the reason. Not this isn't about Amazon, but the reason why like the USPS is so good is because there are places that we just can't be functionally profitable to like deliver to, and I'm sure that those places also like there's places that Amazon can afford to deliver to that like Walmart wouldn't be able to, and so on and so forth, and FedEx and UPS,
Wait, hold
etc.
on, but they just use the postal service, right? Like that's like last mile delivery is what they call it or some shit.
Yeah,
So
but
if there's something outside of their network, the Amazon's network, they'll send it to the postal service, and the postal service will deliver it.
sure, but I'm
And
saying,
I'm sure,
but
and
I'm
I'm
saying
sure
if they
Alibaba does the
fail,
same thing right now.
but I'm saying there seems to like even though the postal service exists, like you can't just go from like I'm sure that the postal service is also adapted to meet like the different concepts of like all these other delivery services. Like those companies failing, I think it will be a logistical nightmare to think that they could just pick up the pieces and keep going like nothing happened.
Well, I'm not saying it keep going like overnight as if nothing happened. There might be some downtime while they're getting things back like running again. But
I think the country will collapse
there are
in
many.
that downtime.
No, that's silly. There are many large companies, very
Trans-
powerful companies that are already positioned and already attempting to compete for these like sectors, right? So if Amazon starts losing out, they start losing money. They're not able to service some places. These other places are going to come in and service them instead.
Bro,
Like, I don't.
the
you guys are
government said
speaking
like
as if
we
they're
can't.
just gonna,
Wait,
like,
Doobie, do you know
as
how
if
that
they're
even
just
works
gonna
in the
like
first
vanish
place?
overnight, and now all the infrastructure that was there is gonna vanish overnight and needs to be like rebuilt. That's not how that works.
Doobie,
But-
do you
but
think
I'm saying
Google
that
and
we can't-
Microsoft just like has a war chest on like, okay, if Amazon fails, then we have enough money to buy out their assets?
Yeah, if Amazon's just falling apart, you better believe Google will start buying off pieces of it. Absolutely.
Do you know how much money that would actually like they would have?
You know how
to
much
save?
money Google has? Like, what are you talking
Wait, how much?
about?
Wait. How much they make versus how much they have in terms of savings for investments is totally different.
This gets really deep really quickly. We can talk about literally liquidity. We can go into literally like investment rates, like, or I'm sorry, not investment rates, interest rates, the whole 9 yards. Like, there is a level where you absolutely can believe that other companies can pick up market share from a super major that starts going under. We've seen this in the oil industry time and time again. The question is that, like,
So,
how
but you don't
yeah,
even
okay,
have to
one
guess.
second.
You
I
can
got
just
it.
look
Okay,
at
I
financial
looked it up really
reports.
quickly.
Okay, so like
Oh, God.
all these companies, if they're traded in the stock exchange, they give out like quarterly reports, and you could actually see how much money they have like in terms of savings for any sort of investments or any sort of research. And what are like the indicators? This is not financial advice. One indicator that like a company is going to do something big is when that number is quite large. You could kind of expect that, okay, well, they're saving up, they're going to do something with that money. I just see that like if it comes down to like Amazon just completely falling apart one day, which I have no idea why that would even happen, even like hypothetically, that's really unrealistic. That like both Microsoft and Google would have enough funds in order to just like swallow it all up, and then the next day or like even like the next week, everything's gonna be fine.
Okay, again, you're speaking as if this is something that'll happen in a day or a week. This is something that would happen very long term. But I just Google this really quickly, which anybody could do here, right? For saying such silly things. And like Google has $92 billion set aside to buy up other companies, right? To invest in other companies. The tech industry as a whole, like the big tech, quote unquote, has over $500 billion set aside for just this, right? So these are all companies that would realistically be interested in competing with Amazon and buying up market share, buying up parts of the company if it started falling apart. And again, this is something that would happen over time, very long term. It's not going to happen overnight.
Sure. So then
It doesn't matter how much money, like somebody will buy. Somebody will buy Amazon's assets if they go out of business. If they have to liquidate, they will sell the assets for as much as they can get, however low that might be. The assets are not just gonna sit there and rot. Okay, if they're valuable assets, then someone will buy them at some price.
Well, that's up for Bezos to decide what the price is, right? And when it comes to that long-term process,
it's up for him to negotiate with whoever's buying.
When it comes to that
lower the price until somebody buys them.
When it comes to that long-term process, do you think that represents a national security risk?
No,
absolutely not.
Making that
your Amazon hosting is not in danger no matter what happens to Amazon.
How many years? Well, wait, hold on. If Amazon like files for bankruptcy and there's no more Amazon Web Services, how am I going to? I don't even know how.
If they file for bankruptcy, they'll liquidate all of their assets,
how is
including
Amazon
the web services. Someone else will buy it.
Support these number of companies. How is Amazon going to abide by like giving technologies to the United States government for military and defense purposes?
Well, I mean, like
you also have to realize that like Amazon is like has a diverse portfolio. It's in multiple industries. It's not just retail. It's not
and
just
all those industries have competitors, have competition that would be willing to come in and eat up those assets. Like
if they have stuff that's valuable that the government depends on or consumers depend on, they'll either keep running that business themselves, or if they don't want to, they'll liquidate it and someone else will buy it and run it for them.
Yeah. So the Doobie and Last Username's point, like they have like data centers. So we're talking about AWS, right? They have data centers all over the world. And if it did start falling apart, you better believe that there would be other companies, including Google, including Microsoft, and smaller ones, because there are smaller hosting companies as well, that would be buying these like extremely like premium, top of the line data centers that they have all over the world. Like those data centers wouldn't, as Doobie is saying, disappear. Those assets are still there in place. Someone is going to buy them. So I mean, I can't disagree with that.
So. If I just may interject here, this is like the points you're making, Doobie and Last Username and PrimeCayes here are valid points. This is why I am not in favor right now of breaking them up. But what I am saying is it is easy to imagine, because this has happened in the past, where the company gets so big and drives out its competitors to such an extent, and then gets its tendrils into the government to such an extent, where those checks and balances that there exist, that you're rightly pointing out, no longer do so. And then we have a real big problem. And so that, I think, is my concern here. And I think there is no trouble, or there's no reason not to watch this and to keep an extra close eye.
And nobody's saying they shouldn't watch it. But how big do you think a company should be allowed to get?
I don't know. I don't have a specific number for you, to be honest with you.
Okay. You know what? Keep watching them. You're welcome. I'm not arguing against watching them. You watch them, and when they take over the government and start abusing their monopoly and causing horrible things, you let me know. I will be right there by your side.
I mean, they're doing damage right now to an extent, but no more damage than capitalism does in general, right? Like, so it's not as if there isn't troubling issues right now that I think Dionysus put in his opening statement, where they're using market manipulation and things like that to drive away small businesses. This hurts local economies. This hurts in a large way a lot of people, in a way that the local businesses being allowed to thrive.
But it also massively benefits a lot of local businesses.
Yeah, no,
that from their brick and mortar stores.
I really no.
Doobie,
I would
This
say
is
no, they're
bullshit.
big are
When
your
was the
little
last
businesses
time you
on
went to
there?
the second? When was the last time you went to the second page of Amazon?
that rely on Amazon.
Come on, when was the last time you went to the second page of
It seems to be
Amazon?
working for
This is
some of them.
bullshit.
There are
This
hundreds
is
of thousands of
bullshit.
small
There's
businesses
fucking
that are supported
companies
by Amazon.
that pay lots of money to get to the top spot. Amazon sees that product's done well. They rip off that product, they sell a generic, and they go tell the fucking kids to take their ball and go home. And then they're fucked. Tackling
Yeah.
all the
Again,
Amazon basics.
there are
Everything from
hundreds
computer
of
shit,
thousands of
from
businesses
appliances
currently
to
existing,
like
small
bedding to
businesses.
everything, dude. Like
God.
all
Small to
the-
medium
just look at
businesses,
the Amazon
hundreds
basic
of thousands
umbrella.
of them that are supported and exist because Amazon is allowing them to access a global marketplace. Right? Are you like against are you against like DoorDash? Right? Where
I'm
like
not
a
against DoorDash.
restaurant that wouldn't be able to reach people 10 miles out now can
Wait,
now
whoa,
can get their
that's
food out there?
Amazon's
that's
so
misleading
much
as
more for
shit.
small businesses.
That's
Amazon-
misleading as shit.
How many
The thing is,
businesses?
Amazon
these
versus
companies wouldn't
DoorDash,
exist, and I think
Uber,
that's a fair
Postmates,
comparison.
Grubhub. They're not equal. Not even close. You're hypothetical
Yeah,
shit.
and also too, like not a lot of businesses can even support the cost of sustaining Uber Eats, Grubhub, and otherwise. This was a problem during the pandemic. The businesses were squeezed out because of Uber Eats and DoorDash. But I mean, what's reading?
What, the restaurants?
Wait, hold on. They were
Yes,
squeezed out
restaurants
because of the lockdowns.
restaurants
They
are
weren't allowed to do
alive.
business.
Okay, let's
because of that.
you can
hold on. Many of them kept their doors open because they were able to sell through the lockdown because of Uber Eats and DoorDash. Like,
No,
what are you
but
talking
They
you are
fucking
not
saved
you're
the
not
restaurant industry.
You're not listening.
yeah you're not catching what I'm throwing here, but that's okay because
Throw
it's
it a little
not going to
soft.
go anywhere. What's
so
that?
were you talking
Throw
about?
it a little softer.
so-
Explain.
So
Yeah, like I'll throw it however I want to fucking throw it, but clearly we're not connecting and we're just
Doing
wasting
like an
time.
underhand softball
We're wasting
pitch.
time right now.
So Joe Lewis, were you? I thought what you were referring to when you said that was like the fees involved. So like previously we were
Yes.
talking about the Amazon fees, right? But like Uber Eats and stuff, that's been actually disastrous for the restaurant business. In which like their cut has just been so much that the profit margin is almost like non-existent for these stores. And so what they've done, and I'm not sure if you guys aware of this, for some of these stores, they've like slipped into like the food, right? Like a note saying, hey guys, thank you so much for like buying us through Uber Eats or DoorDash, right? But if you want to support us, then please order directly because they're taking too much out of it. We literally can't survive. So that's the thing that's happening there. So
Yes, this was a
Uber
thing.
Eats
Without
alone
Uber
takes
Eats,
about
they wouldn't have
30
anything to slip that into, right?
Exactly.
No, that's so. That's oh my god, that's so fucking stupid.
They
Last
wouldn't have had
username.
anybody
Like
buying
Prime
that shit
gave you
anyway.
information. Prime
And
gave
they
you
would-
information. Prime
he
gave
gives
you
a
information that's
scenario, an
reinforced
anecdote,
and
a
has
thing
been a
that's happening.
problem for the past 2 years, and then you guys just want to fucking argue the reality of it. It's fucking ridiculous to me. No, we're wasting time. We're wasting time. Shut the fuck up. We're wasting time.
And then shut the fuck up. The issue is you are only concerned with one side of the coin here, right? With businesses whose profit margins are so small that the fee that they're charged by DoorDash is enough to wipe out their profit margins entirely and make it unprofitable for them to do business.
Prime said that,
that's the
not
case.
me. That's not even the side that I was even talking about. This is why I'm saying we're wasting
I wasn't
time.
done speaking. That's the case for some people. Right?
30%
But
commission.
there are also many other restaurants that exist today through the pandemic because they were able to get their food out to people using Uber Eats and DoorDash, and without that,
They had the
would not-
overhead to do so. We know this.
Okay, so what's the fucking issue? Yes,
Again, but this,
we're
I said
operating-
it's not going to go anywhere, and you keep going. But
Slim
go off,
profit in
Ken.
the first place that they weren't able to pay a delivery fee, right? Which I'm sure indicates that they wouldn't be able to pay a delivery driver, right? So I don't know what the fucking issue is here.
They got to be making some money off of those Uber
Shut the
Eats
fuck
and
up, that's
DoorDash
your name. This is
orders.
not going to go anywhere.
No,
It's
no, no,
not-
no.
it's
No,
not
you shut
going
the
anywhere.
fuck up.
It's not
You don't
going
want to
anywhere.
talk? Get off the fucking panel. Don't
Oh,
tell me to shut up.
no. All right, I'll do it
arguing.
right now. I'll do it right
Oh,
now.
no, don't do
Alright.
it. No.
This dumb
Okay.
fuck.
like
That's what happens, right? I'm coming back in. It's okay.
okay, all right. So but for Doobie and Last Username, that's where I disagree with you. Like the reason why they're using at least my understanding, right? And if anyone has better information, please correct me. But the reason why these restaurants are using DoorDash and Uber Eats is not necessarily because they can't pay delivery for deliveries themselves. It's because that's where the marketplace is currently, right? That's where people are looking for restaurants. If you are not on DoorDash or Uber Eats, it's hard for people to find you, right? That's just how the marketplace has has turned, especially during the pandemic, as you guys were saying. And so like they're using it for discovery, but from there it's being difficult because of all your orders, especially in the time of the pandemic where people don't have the other option of just showing up, right? If all your orders are coming through them and they're taking a significant chunk, then it's just been too much for some people. That's my understanding.
But it's not any. It wouldn't be any easier to discover them if Uber Eats didn't exist, right?
Right.
That's a different thing.
Sure,
Yeah, that's
No,
true.
no,
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 I
whoa,
think- I
that's
think
a
it's
different
however
argument.
little-
totally different thing.
Whatever
I
little
think
cut
it's not-
the restaurants are
it's
getting
We're not
from
talking
Uber Eats
about
business
discovery.
is better than
We're
not
talking
having
about
that business
delivery.
at all.
That's
No,
not
that's
Many of
true.
these
not true.
places,
Delivery, not
many of these
discovery.
places
Absolutely not
didn't
true.
offer
Not all
delivery at
economies are
all
economies
before
of
Uber Eats.
scale.
Yeah, most restaurants can't
There are
deliver
diminishing
anything
returns
like
as
Uber
you
Eats, except
as
for
you
like
grow
pizza.
for a lot of these restaurants.
That's
Not
not. I was like,
No. Most of these places didn't offer any delivery whatsoever before
That's not
Uber.
true.
Yes, it is true.
That's
okay,
not
sure,
true.
sure that
Yes, it is
even
true.
even if we say that,
What-
that's relevant. What something that what last username said that I kind of disagree with is like there is like if it didn't exist that people would do the searching for the other option. Like I know myself, like even pizza places. Every pizza place on earth had some form of delivery service like pre-pandemic, and
Yeah,
nobody
it
make
was
that jump.
very
But I'm-
unique to
but
pizza, right?
but I'm saying that now
Chinese
I
food?
don't.
No, Chinese
but I-
food, like
What?
Sure.
there's a lot
Sure.
of different styles of food.
Everything
that have
that's not a
delivery
sit-down
before.
restaurant.
There's a few
Like-
like niche
like,
kinds of fast
look,
food that
I'm older
delivery.
than most
Niche?
Vast
Wait,
majority
that
of the
wasn't
time.
my point.
Oh my
That wasn't my
God.
point.
Chinese
That wasn't
food
my
is
point.
fucking
Let Ben
niche.
finish. Let Ben
Come on,
finish. I know
Ben,
for last
please,
year's name it's
Ben,
really
please.
hard. So
Yeah, that wasn't my point. But what I'm saying is like now there's like a because of these apps, because we like fall into the level of human convenience. Like even for pizzas, even for Chinese food, even for these things that we otherwise used to like, look up their specific number and call and get their delivery person like directly through them. Now we're like disincentivized if you can't find it on whatever app you use. Like
Well,
oh
this is
wow,
why-
why is it Papa John's on DoorDash?
I guess that there's
Wait,
probably.
hold on, but this
I
is
guess
why
people are
these
somewhat
restaurants
less
charge
likely to
so-
go out looking for restaurants on foot because they have Uber Eats. But I have to
I might
think
say- I
that
didn't- you don't have
people
to know
on
on
whole
foot.
are eating out a lot more because of Uber Eats and DoorDash. I know I am. I do
Yeah.
it every day now
And a lot of
because
these
I have Uber
restaurants
Eats and a
will charge-
membership. Whereas I
charge
would
a
go
lot
out like once a
more
month before.
through Uber Eats. Like if you buy from like a fucking like restaurant through Uber Eats versus going to pick it up yourself, it could cost like double because
you're not
of the-
allowed to do that.
Also,
But companies
you
are
guys
getting
like
away
your
with
small
that.
businesses,
You
right?
absolutely
No,
are
that's
allowed
not.
to
That's
do
The
not
only
true.
business that
That's
can do
not
delivery
true.
Yes, it is
before-
You're allowed to.
Talking
You're allowed to
the big
do.
ones.
You're allowed to do certain adjustments and fees in the application. However, you can report businesses. You can report businesses that have a difference of 10 cents or more based on the price on the menu versus the price that you get, but nobody does it because they don't feel like dealing with the
That's
idea of like reporting.
absolute bullshit. All these
It's
places-
not absolute bullshit.
Yes,
Do you want me to bring in my landlord who owns 3 businesses and restaurants and just tell you that you're retarded? Like I don't know what to tell you, man.
They are charging you
I
more.
kind of want you to do that, actually, Dima. Could you-
Hold
I
on, hold on.
bet.
These places have
I'll do it
delivery.
right now. Let Doobie talk. I don't know what he's gonna say.
They're charging you more because you're doing it through the app, right? This is a case. You can pull up Uber Eats on your phone right now. You're gonna see a delivery fee on there. Like I don't understand why you're
You
fighting.
argue more right because you say it again. I don't
Yeah,
understand what.
I am. I feel like I need to like really hammer it in because you guys are arguing like really stupid points. Like you guys are
Restaurant
spending-
partners pay the
And
15 to
likewise.
25% on
Okay,
average
they
in
charge a fee
fees
to
for
cover
Uber
that.
Eats.
and they charge to cover that.
25% a quarter?
Hey, while we're actually
That's
arguing about
pretty
delivery,
fucking large.
Does anyone have DiGiorno?
And,
I'm
and they
just
can do some
wondering.
advertising and get their
No,
product.
advertising's different. Advertising's different. That's a
Wait,
different
hold on.
fee.
If they don't want people to buy through the app, they can do advertising on their own, right? Separate from the app, and get people to go out and purchase their shit directly, right?
Well, part of the
So you have to
issue
think
is
about
Amazon
stuff like
undercuts them
fraud-
to a large degree because it can, so they can sell for less than the price that it costs to make, and just fucking drive them out of business because the small companies just don't have access to the same amount of capital that the big company does. This is a huge issue, not just with Amazon though. This is an issue just in the system as well. It's a big problem and something that we do need to bear in mind.
That's not a problem. That's a good
So,
thing. That's how things get
for re-
cheap.
Why
by
is that a
for
good
people
restaurant-
figuring out cheap ways to make stuff for us. That's why we can
But
buy
then
stuff
again,
for less.
they're not doing it at cost; they're doing it under cost. They're
Great.
not. They don't
Fine.
have to.
You get even cheaper
adjust
stuff
the
at
way-
their
they don't
expense.
And then
have to do
what
that, though.
happens, right? So once you do something under cost, right, and you just brunt that all, and now your competitor goes out of business because they obviously can't compete with you because you're under cost. What then happens? What does Amazon do after that? Do they keep it under
Okay, wait one
cost?
second. I just looked it up again.
You tell me. This is your story.
please. Okay, so I just
No,
looked it
they
up.
jack up the prices like
You know the answer.
way higher than it was before. It's bad.
Well, then buy the cheaper one.
Okay, please.
What-
So restaurants
They
are
took the
allowed
cheaper
to
one
mark
out
up
of cost.
prices.
What do you
Some
what do you look up,
restaurants-
DB? Go ahead, please.
Okay, I looked up whether or not restaurants are allowed to mark up their prices through Uber Eats, and I found very quickly that yes, they are, and in fact, some of them do it as much as 91% over what they charge in the store.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Think of how many like before Uber Eats, the only big chains could afford to do delivery, right? With
No.
Uber Eats, all these
No.
mom and pop businesses that you guys love so much, they can all do delivery. This is huge for them.
They can't because they might not have the infrastructure to
Like,
sustain it. That's
maybe
always been
it's
the
a
problem.
much
That's
more
the
likely to
problem
be
that
able
we're
to
talking
deliver it with
about.
Uber Eats than without it, right? Without it,
Maybe
you
it's a
can't do
regional
delivery
thing,
unless you're
but
doing
like
it
in
at
an
really large
urban
scale.
/ suburban like environment of the Northeast, bunch of different mom and pop shops deliver all the time. Local pizzerias, local Chinese food restaurant, wing places, even just drink places
I'm
specifically.
sure
I have
some
a fucking
manage to pull it
no,
off.
no, a lot,
but
a
way
lot
more
do.
businesses can do delivery.
Try
if they
to
get it from
find
Uber
me a
Eats than
local
doing it in-house.
pizzeria.
Yeah,
Try to
are
find me
you
a
really-
local pizzeria that doesn't have a delivery driver.
Why is this
Find me a
so
local
hard?
Chinese restaurant that doesn't have a delivery driver.
I said it was a trap.
This
and
is
we're
Hold
absurd.
not.
on.
I have
Wait,
one
It's
of those.
absurd.
It doesn't
So,
have one.
so I think it's
You can get any kind of food
from
on
Bloomberg,
Uber
right?
Eats.
It's really
Any
What
quick.
are we
kind of
what are we
food.
fighting about
Not
right
just
now?
pizza and
I-
Chinese.
are we-
Chat,
Generally
please,
don't know.
it's so common that Uber actually has a disclaimer in the app that they just had to put on last year, because it was requested by the Attorney General to let customers know that the price on the app it might be more than it is in the store. Right, so-
And you have to report it. You have to report it to Uber directly. And then if the difference is more than 25 cents, you could see fines.
Not true.
I just confirmed it with my landlord.
You're making
25
that
cents
up.
difference.
Find an article that shows that, okay? Because everywhere I'm looking, it's just
I have my landlord who owns 3 restaurants,
it's
2 of
extremely
which use
common.
Uber Eats and
It's
Grubhub.
extremely
That-
common for restaurants to do this.
Yes, and I'm saying that
so
you can
common that
report.
Uber puts a
Why
disclaimer
are we talking past
And
each other?
Uber
This is
puts
so
a
fucking
disclaimer
ridiculous.
on
I'm
the
trying to explain to you for the 9th time that you can report that, and the business that does that can receive fines. But a lot of people don't even know you can even do that.
Okay.
That's
so I don't
it.
think we'll get any farther on that particular point. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, what I think something we're trying to dig down into is the value of the marketplace in and of itself, right? As opposed to what would the landscape be about that marketplace. So I just talked about discovery, and how people can find these businesses, right? If everyone is on the Uber Eats app, right? If last username is on the Uber Eats app, and he's not just like Googling around, like for like Chinese food near me or something like that. If he's on Uber Eats and you're not on Uber Eats, then you don't get his business, right? There's no 2 ways about it. And so I think a lot of companies make the decision to jump in there. Same thing with Amazon, right? If so many people are online retail shopping and you aren't there, you don't have a presence there, well, then you just don't get that business. I guess we're saying the people, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the people on the other side of this are saying that the marketplace, despite the advantage it has, maybe it's more problematic than it is beneficial. That maybe that the customers' habits would be different. Obviously, be different if Amazon didn't exist, right? The customers' habits would be different, and then you could find these different ways. Like there are other ways to find these businesses, but then I guess Doobie and Lancer's name are countering that. Well, even like these businesses, Amazon, and Uber Eats, are giving you a more efficient way of finding these businesses. So in the end, like a restaurant is coming out ahead than they would otherwise. Did I summarize that correctly? If not, I'm sorry.
Uber Eats and Amazon are providing consumers a better way to shop, and that's why people choose. That's why their habits change. Their habits change because it's a much better habit to shop on Amazon and Uber Eats than to walk to brick and mortar stores and restaurants. So that creates a better marketplace with more business, and then the businesses that want to do business go to those marketplaces to sell. That's how it works. I don't see any problem with that.
It's
You-
Are you
convenient.
saying
Always
that like
better.
businesses
Keep
have
using
some
this
sort
word
are sort of
better.
entitled to do well even if they don't adapt to consumers changing habits?
No, they are not. But you keep using this word better as if it's better for the company, perhaps it's better for Amazon, but better for the consumer. I would argue it's not. Like we
You don't
act
think it's
as if
better for the
people
consumer to be able to buy
before,
stuff
like
online?
didn't order out
If
for
it's not better for the
delivery,
consumer, why are they
didn't
doing it?
order to these things. Like I understand that Amazon has provided like this kind of one-stop shop in a way for a lot of things, but again, as we've pointed out, and you keep just either not hearing or ignoring that this is a real cost to other businesses and a real cost to the consumer. And while they may get
How?
cheaper goods for now, once the businesses are driven out of business or locked into
You give me an
Amazon's,
example of Amazon doing this, of Amazon putting, like, does Amazon make like a wallet and put all the other wallet manufacturers in the world out of
Yes.
business and then jack up the price of their
Go ahead,
wallet? And they're like,
Diana.
you have to
Oh
buy
my
a wallet
God,
for $100
that's how
and
it
no one
fucking
else
goes.
is
That's
making
how
one.
it fucking
Give me the rest of the
goes.
history.
Be fair to Wick, he said risk. He didn't say they're doing it now.
Have they ever done that?
You said
Why do you
risk.
think they could even
It's not
possibly do
about-
that?
it's
If
not-
as soon as
no,
they
no,
make
you're-
their
you're
wallet
asking,
expensive,
you're
someone else
asking
will
about
sell
something that we
cheaper
can't
wallets.
satisfy. We can't satisfy your request.
It doesn't make
You're
any
a-
sense.
You're
That's why-
asking
that's
for
why it's never
something that we're
happened.
Right.
not,
Why you
that we're
can't
not
explain
actually
how it would
specific
happen.
examples. He's googling it right now. I can tell, and he'll give you specific examples of where Amazon has driven out businesses. I mean,
okay, wait.
why is
Yes,
this?
but how
why is
could
this
they keep those
controversial?
businesses out of business if they jack up their prices? The whole reason they drove them out of business, allegedly, is by selling a
Because
cheaper,
once
better
you
thing.
get someone into goes
As soon as they
into
jack up the price, a
bankruptcy, they
million
don't
other
have
people
the
willing to
means
manufacture
anymore to
alternatives at
get
the
back
market
into
price.
the business game. They can't get a loan because
Can
they have
I-
a fucking bankruptcy.
How long do you
fucking
think
record.
Amazon could take advantage of that before someone makes their way back into the business? Like, we're just talking about like what
Wait,
what
you just
ma-
don't go
what
out of
product-
business and then be like, oh shit, they raised their prices. Let me get
What
back in the
product
game. That's
has
not how that
Amazon
works.
I think he's
managed to
talking
do
about
this
other
with?
competitors, right? Am I correct? The last thing we're talking about, if Amazon pushes business A out of the marketplace, right? And then jacks up their price, then business B will come in and fill in that. Yeah, right.
Okay, but
Yeah,
it's not
or
just
someone.
business A that they're driving out. It's business A through Z 3, 3, 4, 6. Like it's a large amount of competitors that can't operate at a loss, right?
Can I-
There's a lot of businesses that just, especially smaller ones, that cannot operate at a loss. Like
To
Amazon
force
and
your
larger
competitors to
corporations
operate
can.
at a loss, you have to operate at a loss too. So it's going to
Yes,
cost
but
you money
Amazon
to drive
can
them out of
absorb
business.
it.
No.
Amazon.
In order for that to be worthwhile, you then have to make that money back during the point when all your competitors are out of business and before
Wait.
they get back into business to compete with you.
Okay.
When has
wait.
that ever happened that that's been worthwhile?
Isn't
This
that
scheme
isn't
you
that
talk
what
about-
Netflix and Amazon
Please
Prime
unmute
did?
for a
Like,
second.
Yes.
wasn't everything on Netflix like Netflix was like they pride themselves on everything's $1, like just $1, watch whatever movie you want, and then like, oh crap, Movie Gallery and Blockbuster don't exist.
And now Netflix has tons of
$10.
competitors.
$15.
Ty?
But I'm saying that they absorbed a large portion of the market. Like they shut out who they wanted to shut out, and now other people have their other little streaming services, and it is becoming more competitive. But you're saying that it didn't happen. You're saying that like they didn't raise their prices once they bumped out a large portion of the market, once they cornered the market. It is what happened. And Amazon Prime grows up every.
When is
Let
Netflix?
me hear from
Netflix raise their
Tiberius. Let me hear from
Yes,
Tiberius.
Netflix just raised their prices like 2 weeks ago. What the
Yeah.
fuck are you on about?
They
I
have
want
lots of they have lots of competition.
Tiberius.
Yeah, I want to type into this because I'm not going to say that Amazon has done this. I'm not going to go down the road. I want to give a historical example, and I want to see like if LU is going to chew on this one or not, because I don't think there's a super big risk in this one because of the market that Amazon is particularly in. But I'm going to give you the standard or example, right? We have admitted earlier in the show that we have economies of scale. And what we have seen, particularly in the oil industry and the car industry, is that you are talking about industries that require, in the modern day, $1 billion in assets to just get started and operational. And what one of the serious concern for any kind of major monopoly power is that they can literally monopolize the market to, if it's not, an oligopoly, it can be or if it's not a monopoly, it can be an oligopoly, right? And what you can do is that, one, you can lower your prices to where you knock everybody out or you knock most of the people out. At that point, you are the majority trendsetter. So you set it is inefficient market curves on these prices. That is, it's not unbearable, but it means that people are not getting efficient goods at the way they have been. And because of the amount of power that they have, is that they continue to maintain that power. The other second thing, and this is actually something that hits really hard, is that they have or you can see monopolies form that have the economy of scale that outcompete anybody else that would want to enter the market because they can't set it up. Because, example, if you need a refinery, that is, a $10 billion asset, right? If you want to make the refineries that make all the things in petroleum, as an example, that you can sell to general consumers, you're talking about an industrial chain. That's not 10, it's $100 billion in assets. If you're ExxonMobil, you have that ability at the start. But if you're some new company like Eagle Ford Shale, where are you getting $100 billion? That's the problem. That is the risk here. I'm not saying that it's the same, but one of the things that we have consistently seen throughout markets, throughout history, is that you can literally have the economy of scale, but deny it for everybody else. And LU, you gotta be with me on this one, is that can be a threat in a limited circumstance. It's not universal by any means, but it can be a threat.
The economy of scale is denied. Anybody can have the economy of scale if they're at scale. But I don't understand, like, this story about how a business puts everyone else out of business by selling at a loss and then jacks up their price to exploit their monopoly.
You don't have to understand it. Just realize it happened.
No,
it doesn't.
No,
it doesn't happen. Like, I hear the story in theory, but I haven't seen any example of it happening.
Okay, so let me give you exactly what Standard Oil did. Standard Oil could run out of
Standard Oil was like a fucking 100 years ago. Like, give me something. We're talking about Amazon here. Is there
Oh,
anything
so
that
now
Amazon does
now
that
he's going to give you an example
has
and
that
now
barrier to entry?
Give me another
Holy
example that I'm going to
shit.
pretend doesn't
Even more.
happen.
Even okay. We can take it back to what I was starting with the movie industry. This is again, told you, the movie guy. I really hate the fact that the theaters has become the home of the blockbuster. We can't make comedies anymore. We can't make no one can try things. No, we can't do any interesting movies because of the streaming market. The only thing that
streaming's funding all sorts of crazy weird comedies and
yes, on the streaming
like
service. I'm talking about
movies.
I'm talking about the theater. The only thing people go to the theaters for is the Marvel blockbuster. That's the only thing people care about anymore. The streaming service
in theaters.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about theaters. That was a
Yeah. Let's just
that,
give him a second because I think I know where he's going. Go ahead.
That was one of the many industries that the streaming platform sort of market. They took that away, and now, like I said, every couple months, every one of these streaming services continue to raise their prices again and again. And whenever they like Disney Plus, whenever they do get movies, they're charging $40-$50 for you to stay at home to watch it. Like the prices are going up, and we're not getting the things that we used to get. Like they did destroy the theater industry.
But hold on,
that's not necessary.
Yeah, I wanted to jump on this for a quick moment. When it comes to Netflix is a bit different from the ones we were talking. Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you might disagree with that. Because Netflix, like, they actually did just create this space, right? Netflix, so. They're raising their price. Netflix is raising their price, and also their selection, right? Their library is actually shrinking. The movies they offer are less, right? I was told before that like their DVD service, which is still run, was where it was at, right? Like the bigger selection, the DVD service, but apparently that's also been shrinking as well. Instead, what they've been pouring their money into is original content, right? Their library has been shrinking because they have those competitors that have been jumping into the marketplace, right? And their competitors are the movie studios like Disney, right? So Disney pulls all of its Disney products on there, and now it's all on Disney Plus. But still, the price goes up. But like, I don't think, at least the purpose of this conversation, Netflix should be treated in quite the exact same way, right? Like Netflix created the space. Like Netflix came to these movie studios and were like, "Hey, could we stream your movies over the internet?" And they're like, yeah, sure. We don't even have a category for that. Sounds stupid. Do whatever you want, right? We're gonna hand you over these massive properties for pennies on the dollar, right? Now, please run along while we talk to the big boys at Blockbuster, right? Serious business guys. So like, I think it's a bit different. Like they created that space completely,
but it's not just Disney. I'm talking about AMC.
Is jumping in and sorry.
I'm talking about like AMC, Regal. I'm talking about the actual theaters themselves. Like like there's no money and there's no money in being invested in to create movies to go to the theaters because because no one believes they can work anymore because of what streaming services cost.
That's kind of misleading.
But
the
to,
issues with
let me finish this one point, then I'll go to you, Joe. I promise. So like I think that's different because to last year's name's point, right? Like the streaming services are providing a better experience. People don't like going to the movie theaters for jacked up tickets, right? For jacked up food, and for like dealing with screaming fucking kids, right? The reason why they go to movie theaters now, you're absolutely right, and that like they're going for the blockbusters because that's like the thing that's worth like the price of admission, right? The big screen experience because it's a blockbuster. You want to see it large, but like it's not their fault. Like it's not Netflix's fault that the movie theater was providing such a stale product. And they didn't even bother to innovate until Netflix came to the market and they started putting in like new features into the theaters to try to attract their customers back. I mean, like I think that's the marketplace like working, right?
I just hate that we can't
streaming
have
is a
another
very
Superbad.
dynamic and competitive like market. Like if the prices are rising, it's a very competitive. There's nobody has a monopoly in streaming. So if the prices are going up, I would assume it's probably because the costs are going up, not because anyone's exploiting a monopoly to raise the price above the market price. Because no one has a monopoly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a different experience.
We can disagree. Like it's completely fine.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's just a different experience. Like theaters are going to be fine. There's still deals with the theater companies for release dates. What's changing right now is the theatrical window and companies' desire to produce their product how they see fit. Like Disney is kind of doing this weird hard line where they're like forcing people into watching things on their platform. Like it's a touch and go thing. Like for example, depending on they did this for I think Black Widow, where it was just cheaper to see it in theaters than it was to just use it to watch it on Disney Plus, because you still have to wait. You still have to wait the theatrical release, and if you wanted to watch it at home, they upcharged you. I think it was something like $29.99 to do that. So versus like for AMC stubs, which is depending on your region, anywhere from $14 a month to $19 a month for a region, then it's still more cost effective for you to have a theatrical AMC A-list subscription and then just follow their subscription model than to have a subscription for films that you want to see. Because like they found out that, okay, like after the second time you go to a film per month, it pays for itself. So it's just a different market, you know?
So, okay.
Different groups, everyone phrase like different groups are being